tap out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden messages.
We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensibilia, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it ganja.
Welcome to another edition of the Adam Dunn Show. I am your host, Adam Dunn. And we have actually, I think, achieved nirvana of sound.
Possibly.
Because I don't hear anything bad sounds right now. It sounds good. Got a new mixer. Figured out that the kid was completely wrong out of the gate with his sideways gun-shooting way of micing everybody. Like, you gotta hold it sideways. Like, no. Should be up and down. Like a professional.
Yeah.
Kind of like the way you see it at every other fucking video. Like, you're like, wait a minute, how come theirs are always up and down and ours are always sideways? Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, I don't know what was the deal with that, but yeah.
We're going to find out because the kid's going to be in the studio.
Fantastic.
And he's going to take the hot seat of why our sound is way better now. And everybody has to agree on the chat room. They all have to be like, kid, you suck. I want to see a unanimous when he comes on. But we do have a, as I say every week, special show. But this week we do. This week we have a Mr. Jorge Cervantes. Aha, there he is, the kid himself. Yep, here he comes. You see? We fix the sound, and then he comes. That's how it all works around here. It's all you have to do is, as long as you have everything running smoothly, he'll show up. If it's not, this is the seat over here. I'm live right now, dude. Don't knock over the camera. Look at you, all slicky slick.
Does it sound good?
Sounds great.
Yeah, this is our first one with the new mixer. So.
New mixer, everything
Sounded pretty good, I think.
Everything sounds way too
I
good.
don't know, my headphones don't have sound in them. So.
Okay, so which one are you? No.
Well,
He's,
I'm gonna
whatever.
say that one. It's the only one that's not on.
Which one? This one.
You're number 3.
Yeah, that's better.
Oh, look at that.
Ah, hey.
All
Oh,
right.
no, the kid is... oh, he's getting all mic'd up. No, see, look at you sideways. I just explained. This is wrong.
What's wrong with it?
Everything. This is the way it needs to go.
You can see my
erectile. Yeah, that doesn't matter.
You like
no
erectile. That's so
No
weird.
one wants to see its better sound.
I like it.
It's better. Yay. Oh, look at him. He's all excited.
I know. That's nice.
What's going on? What's going on?
Nothing. Past 3 days, just waiting for the fucking fire department, man.
Fuck, don't let him hear you swear.
Yeah, Tanner. And
Fire
just we're
department.
sitting here waiting on it, and it's
Is
just
Tanner with you?
He's not with me now.
Oh, okay.
No,
I was going to say, this show's ruined then.
No, he's gonna come by later. But no, we're just waiting on him just so we can get running. But yeah, no, past 3 days of Fortunate Youth, their final night tonight. So
What?
just
This has nothing to do with
hanging
weed.
out, You know?
Well,
Yes,
maybe
they
it
do.
does.
Yeah, they're
I guess
huge
it
weed
does.
smokers, man. Yeah.
Of course. Did you smoke any weed?
Oh yeah, a lot of weed.
Or you just walk around with extracted?
No, just I smoked a lot of weed, and I brought a bunch of. I even just bought flowers too. So
You bought flowers.
yeah, from House of Dankness.
Wow.
This is what it is. But
Wow.
it's good stuff, so I can't complain. But yeah, do your thing. I'm gonna go meet
What?
those
That was
guys
it?
at Cervantes. I'm coming right back. I'm gonna go meet the guys at Cervantes, take a dab.
All right.
I'll be back. What's on the show today?
Jorge Cervantes. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Don't messing around, dude.
All right, well I'll be back.
All right.
Give me
So you will
12
have the
minutes.
antics of the kid later on with his own shirt, with his own name on it, so he doesn't... Hey, did you just mess my shot up? I think you just messed my whole shot up, dude. The kid came and he kicked the shot. Look, you got to look. It's going to be wrong in about 2
Awesome.
Is it wrong now?
No, it's...
It looks wrong. It looks like...
Really?
I don't know. It just looks like it's facing over there. It's not?
No.
Okay, good.
No,
We're
it's
good.
exactly where we were.
All right, never mind. I figured the kid would ruin it. So let's do a quick shout out to the sponsors because we got like 10 minutes till Mr. Jorge himself calls in. And we're going to have Mr. Wolf Siegel. We're going to call him in, though. We have to call the wolf in. Call the wolf. The Wolf Siegel's going to join the conversation. And, that should liven it up just because those guys are old friends. And Wolf is on his way to a cannabis convention-y sounding thing. What did he say it was going to?
You know what? I tuned out after cannabis convention something.
Yeah, just like we'll let Wolf tell us where he's going, but somewhere up there in the Northwest, there's another event. I mean, it's
Ooh.
never ending.
I got a cool story after shout-outs, too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You don't forget it though.
I won't.
Or do you want to just say it now?
Oh, it's cool. I got recognized by some of the chat gang this week.
Oh, really?
I went to 7-Eleven to pick up some stuff there in the morning one time, and there's a dude named Jason. He asked me where I got my hoodlum, and I was like, well, I actually got it from Adam Dunn himself. And because I told him the situation, that I'm doing the audio producing here and all
Right.
that. And he was like, "Oh, I'm part of the chat gang, dude." I was like, "Oh, cool. Well, we have a show tomorrow, so
Nice.
we'll talk to you in the chat gang." I thought it was pretty cool to get recognized in
The kid will
in
tell
the
you
wild.
all his wild antics too.
Oh, really?
Of course.
I didn't know that was part of the gig.
Oh yeah, you definitely get your own. You have your own. You will have a fan club soon, I think.
Fantastic.
Right now we have a fan literally in there. That's gonna be your fan club.
Perfect.
That'll be it.
That's the kind of fan I'm used to.
Let's kick it off with our buddies from New Millennium, who are coming again back on the show. But soon it's going to be not just talking about New Millennium. It's going to be talking about all the different products that 58, which is spelled PHIVE 58, actually bring to the market right now, which is ePapillon lights and Playground and a few other products on top of Millennium. So anyway, they're going to come on the show soon with those, repping those products. But in the meantime, let's talk about their main piece, which is the line from New Millennium, which, like I said, I've been using about 2 years now. It's super solid. Works in conjunction with seasons, so it makes everything real simple as far as, you know what season you're in, even though it's indoors. And you control it, of course, but at the same time, it has got a really great program, which fits most plants. And, they actually take into account longer flowering cycles, which makes sense. So you're not locked into, like, hey, everything has to be 8 weeks. But on top of that, the products like Decision and Winter Frost, they're kind of like your indicator to the plant. It's time to flip it or it's time to finish it, which is, those two products are my favorite. And then on top of that, the Ruby Fulvic and the whole line, of course, is the way you want to run it anyway. But if you don't want to run all their products, you could always grab those 3 products and try it out and see if you want to maybe jump on board. And they are at newmillenniumnutrients.com. That's, remember the new in the beginning. I always forgot about that. Our buddies over at Growstone. Or no, Growstone. Let's do Growstone. Oh, and damn, I have to give you the intro for our other guys because they have their own. Where's this sound coming from? Is that yours?
That was me.
There
I
you
thought
go.
I was connected to my thing.
Oh, I was wondering. I was hearing a little echo schnecko. I was like, all this great sound and we're getting echoes?
Right?
Come on, guys. No, I have some intro music for, I don't know if it's intro or outro. It's a whole song, but basically Seeds Here Now sent us, which I got to get him on the program with you so that he can get direct so you can be ready for it, because things like this where I forget about intro music. Like, damn, probably should have had that lined up, right?
For sure.
But anyway, Growstone, available all over America and made in America with all American glass. And hopefully not too many pieces, but pieces can go in there. Bottles, beer bottles. Lately for me, root beer bottles. And other fine beverages. But also, it's great to know that what you're doing is not, you're not mining it out of the ground or whatever. So it's like, we got enough bottles and we got more plants than we can shake a stick at these days. So it's good to have stuff where you're not contributing to some mining of some, very limited thing. Like people don't realize perlite is actually a mined product that's then, baked and turns all beautiful and clean looking and nice, but it's actually literally, it's not just something, it's no chemicals. It's actually from nature, which, you want it to be, but at the same time, you also want it to be something that you can replicate. And obviously broken bottles, we can replicate those. Growstone.com, check them out. They're, if they're not available where you're at, because they are more of a specialty product. Hey there, it's Adam Dunn Show. Who we got there?
Hey, Adam, it's Jorge Cervantes.
Hey, Jorge, how you doing? We are just doing the old bill paying right now with our sponsors, and then we're gonna jump on with you. So,
okay,
you wanna if you could either hang on the line or if you wanna give it like 5 more minutes or so, I'll be done.
Okay, I could just give you a call back in 5 minutes.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I'm glad you're on the ball though. That sounds good. Most of the time it's 5 phone calls back and forth to each other. Like, wait a minute, is this how do you do this? So good to see you're on the ball. So yeah, give us about 5 more minutes, and I'll get my last sponsors done, and then we'll get
Sounds
into
great.
it. Okay, talk to you soon.
Sounds great. And then I'll just ring you.
So that's nice to know. Jorge's on point. And with that, we will jump over from Growstone to
Seeds here now.
Seeds here now, but I don't have their incredible theme song, which you have to get from me. That's the problem. So
Okay.
We'll just talk about Seeds here now.
We'll definitely get it. For
I like
next
how
week.
they're like putting me at top of the list. Is this like on purpose? Maybe just for this one day a week? They're like, yeah, make sure you put Adam at the top because you know.
There you go.
Yeah, you got to make sure you have that.
Nice.
But also available from them 35 other breeders, which are all on point and top. We're actually going to have Mike, I think, going to call in because we didn't get to talk to him last week. But he is got a new drop, I think, with them recently, and also there's a few other ones that were like I think it was Mephisto or anyway. We'll have them. We'll have them on at the 420. They're going to call in for like a minute or two. Well, not a minute or two, a few minutes. And talk to. Well, we have a word. It's going to be a big craziness. It's going to get crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Wolf's going to be there. It's going to be nuts.
Action-packed show.
Action-packed. Archive, of course, had some drops recently. But like I said, all the best in North American breeders, which is, you know, all under one roof. It's like a car dealership, now, literally. But also on Seedaholics is their other site where they have an auction site going on. So there's a lot of rare packs and things that people had in their fridge, deep from the fridge. That's usually, those are the best. You know, those are the ones you're like, oh, I forgot about this. And you pull out a little thing, a thing inside of a thing inside of a thing. Those are what he has on the auction. A lot of those kind of crazy deals. Seedsherenow.com. Check out their stuff. Their site is up and running. I checked it out. It looks good. It's moving quick now, too. Notice that? How much more slick it is?
Oh, yeah.
Boom, pow, bing, pow.
For sure.
See how fast it goes? Like it used to. But, no, it's cool. They're bringing the genetics to the people. And this is the time of year when if you have a choice to go between seeds or clone and you're growing outdoors, don't even waste your time considering. Just fucking get some seeds and put them in it because you're going to be so much more happy with results that you get. Plus, you know, you're adding to the gene pool that we have, which, you know, we don't need to take away from it. We need to add to it. And on that note, I will make sure I get this song lined up because we'll definitely play it, but we'll play it at the end because it's a whole song, and we're going to have Jorge on in a minute. So I'll have that lined up for the end of the show. And so it gives us plenty of time.
Okay.
You can send it to me. I'll have it all lined up. You can send it to yourself and then bring it in, and bam, it's going to be awesome, dude. It's off the chain, dude.
I'm down with it. I want to play it. It's
so West Coast.
We just have to get it down here. That's all.
You will. But I'm going to also get you linked up with the right person from them, so it's not going from them to me to you to them, and you know how that goes. But also, let's jump over from seedsherenow.com to Build a Soil. Also, I'm going to be on the show real soon. We were talking about maybe next week getting Jeremy on. I was actually thinking about getting him on this week, and then all of a sudden I found out Jorge's coming on, and I was like, what? Jorge? Well, there you go. Sorry, you got bumped by the big dog. So that's the way it is, Jeremy. Sorry. But in general, Jeremy's a big dog in his own right. He's got the best amendments and soil ability to build you whatever soil you need. And is that somebody rolling in or just a question?
I don't know what that was.
Something.
Yeah.
But buildasoil.com is a way to get to him online. Also, you can go to 855-877-SOIL and talk direct. I'm sure it's a crazy time of year right now, but it's also the time you need to get your shit in order, literally, because it's time to get those things built and ready, those beds, however you're growing, even indoors. You know, got your no-till going on. He is your source for all those things. And again, we'll have him on the show, I think, next week, hopefully. If not, it'll be the week after or so. But it's definitely going to be soon because I want him to talk about now because it's like everybody seems to be late on the starts this year. And here we go. We got Jorge. So we will do the rest of them after. We'll just jump in. Right. Hello, Mr. Jorge Cervantes. How are you doing?
Good, Adam. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm staying super busy, obviously, like all of us old guys out here in the industry are getting pulled left and right here and there and everywhere. So, that part of my life is just getting weirder. but as far as home life is good and things are rolling and kids growing. And how was you still in Sonoma or?
Yeah. I'm in Sonoma right now. Actually, I'm as we speak. The painter is here painting the house.
Oh, nice. Well, last week we had guys drilling next door, so that's better than that. So we're good. Tell them to paint real quiet.
Yeah.
Tell them to paint real quietly because you got a show going on. Say it's real quiet. Keep those brushes.
Sometimes the compressor goes off, and that's it.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
is it right next to your head? Is it right next to your head while you're doing this?
No,
Okay.
no. It's outside. I can see everything from here.
Okay. Nice.
But it's a good deal because one guy and he's doing a real good job. I'm real pleased with it.
Great.
Yeah, and the big news is I'm going to sell this house in Sonoma because, I'm in Spain half the time.
Sure.
I'm in Barcelona right now about half the time. And haven't decided whether to move there 100% of the time right now or not. There's so much going on here. But I'm like you, I'm getting burned out too. I mean, at least you've got more going on than me, probably.
Well, no, I don't know about that. You're definitely you're higher up the food chain, so you may be more needed in drastic measures than I would be. So, but in general, yeah, definitely, it is crazy how if you could never do everything that people want you to do because that'd be like you'd have nothing left. But you have to be very selective. Like I think I'll go to Hawaii and then I'll do. Like everybody wants to go to the good ones now. You know what I mean? Like as far as the half vacation.
Oh, exactly.
Half vacation.
Well, there's so many of these fairs out there now. It's unbelievable. I mean, I always go to Spanabiz in Barcelona because it's real easy and I know everybody there and stuff, or a lot of people there. But there's so many of these new fairs, I mean, I can't keep up with them. I can't even get a good list, and then there's all kinds of new ones all the time that you can't believe it. There's local fairs, there's state ones, and pretty soon, Oregon's already done it. They've already incorporated cannabis into the state fair.
Yeah, they tried that here. Here, and it was weird because, of course, they tried to do it within the parameters of whatever lawyers told them to do, which was, okay, you guys can do it, but you can't have any cannabis there. I was like, what's the point of that? I was like, that doesn't really make any sense.
Right.
So I was like, we have pictures of cannabis, and we could talk about cannabis, and it was like, okay, that's stupid, So in the end, it wasn't what you thought it was going to be, which was big plants in your face. You know what I mean?
No, that's not the same. In Oregon, I didn't go, but apparently it was really a good deal, and you could have cannabis plants there, and Oregon's pretty loose.
Yeah, I mean, definitely always had better.
Everybody's growing there.
Exactly, and they're proud of what they're growing because they're growing humongous plants. I mean, it's one of those. It's probably some of the biggest plants in America are now being grown in Oregon, just because they have kind of some number issues, and people are. They're able to support it because the plants are in that kind of perfect, kind of humid enough environment. I mean, here it's very hard because it's so dry to grow a humongous plant.
Yeah,
like that.
They've got down there. I was down there, up there from where I'm at now in Sonoma. But up there in Williams, Oregon, and the Applegate Valley and the Josephine County, and man, there in Illinois drainage area, River Valley, there's all kinds of growing going on there. I mean, there has been for years, but if you take Highway 199 across, I think everybody out there on that road is growing. It's unbelievable. And these one guys, they had like 12 to 14 pounders. They said they were coming in at.
Right.
And it was real interesting because what they did, first they were vegetable gardeners and market gardeners, and then they changed, and then they were seed growers for castor beans, and then they had this really great land. It's river bottom. And what they do is they put their plants out early, obviously, but they train the branches so they're at 90-degree angles, and they put 3 wire baskets around each plant, as it progressively grows. And these things come out, they had like 80 of them, and they were averaging, I talked to them, over 10 pounds apiece, all of them.
Right.
That's the average.
Yeah.
And that's really good.
That's pretty good, right? It's like one of those like
Yeah.
It's it is interesting when you get guys who aren't smokers and aren't really interested in that side of it all, but they're just really good gardeners, and they come back with crazy good yields and they don't get it. Like they're like, is that good? I've had that a few times too. Like they're like, is this a good job? You're like, yeah, you did like 1.37 grams per watt on your first round with no CO2. It's like amazing. You know what I mean? It's like, how did you do that? You know?
Yeah.
Just crush it.
But see, out here, everybody's growing with outdoors or in a greenhouse, because those light deprivation greenhouses are huge here.
Yeah, but they're also it must be really
must
be really sweaty in those ones in Oregon, huh? Or
yeah, well, I mean, in Garberville they have this year's going to be the 4th year, the Golden Tarp Awards.
Oh yeah, in October. Yep. Yeah, we've had them on the
pretty cool.
Yeah, we've had them on the show. That was definitely
yeah, those guys are great. I love them. I love Kevin Chaudhry. He's wonderful.
Yeah, Kevin's a really
awesome. And then there's
grower.
the other guys.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say he's one of those guys who, when you listen to him, he's for the first like 30 seconds, because anybody with an East Coast accent kind of throws you off at first. You're like, wait a minute, is this guy for real? And then all of a sudden you listen.
You can't lose it.
No, you can't. And then all of a sudden you listen and you're like, oh well, he's been living in Cali for a hell of a long time. He still has a real thick fucking New England accent.
No. He can't. Him and his brother, his weightlifting brother, he can't lose it. His brother is like a champion arm wrestler and like world ranked and everything.
Wow. Yeah, and
you should see him. He's just like totally strong. I mean, the guy's incredibly well built.
Good guy to have around the farm.
Yeah, but Kevin, he's great. In fact, I'm going to get some clones from him.
Yeah, I know. Wonderland is definitely a great place to get genetics from, because he's so on it, and you can tell he's doing it always for the right reasons, and he's really trying to like make sure you get what you paid for. And I would definitely, if I lived close enough, go pick up some clones from him if I could.
Well, I'll tell you something really interesting. I mean, not only is he well educated and knows what he's doing and been living and breathing this stuff his entire life, he's getting all of the varieties, all the good varieties that come through his plate. He's getting sequenced at Philos Bioscience.
Nice.
He's getting the genome sequenced so they'll learn the DNA.
Yeah, and then there's another guy. You're like plugging all of our previous shows, which is great. So keep going, keep going. You're like Philos. Check out show number 182.
No, they're hip.
Yeah,
they're hip. They're great guys. I mean, well, you've been around a long time. You know good from bad. And,
yeah.
I mean, those guys are just outstanding.
Yeah, and it's good because you get something that is what I've been using them for is mostly to figure out what the weird, dodgy stuff that I got from people that I never really believed in the first place, but I liked the plant, so I kept it. And then, sure enough, it's 100% not what they said. But now I kind of have an idea of where it says
what it is.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, okay, this is great, because now I can actually move further on with this thing and not feel like, because I couldn't call it what they were saying, and it was just like, I can't, because it's not. I know it's not, but it's a beautiful plant.
Well, it's real interesting what they were saying too, and now I don't know if it's up yet or not. But where I think it is. I didn't check before I got on, but it's where they're grouping plants that have like really, 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 really similar characteristics but different names, and because they're finding quite a few that are the same, just almost the same damn thing, but with a very, very minor, slight, infinitesimal difference in it. Mm-hmm. And they're finding a lot of plants, it's the same damn thing. They just have a different name.
100%. Yeah, well, that's basically half of our shows have been about that. But, the obvious is with Kush being the obvious one that we all know was renamed a million times.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Like, Granddaddy Perps, same thing. That's been renamed and,
Right. Yeah.
and marketed
exactly.
and marketed hard as another strain, but we all knew it was, and those things all. That's the one thing about Phyllis is it's like there's good and bad, but then there's been a little bit of weirdness I've noticed with. I mean, a few of the things that I check, I'm like, okay, well they kind of have a little bit too much of the similar. There's a few things that were so similar on their descriptions that I was like, well, okay, that's kind of like it can't all be those same characteristics on that part of it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I feel like the more information they get, then the more they're going to be able to expand that base and make it a little bit more like.
Well,
okay.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. When you write those descriptions, I mean, the beauty of science is it's all mapped out for you genetically. You can write up descriptions and say things about stuff, but if you write all that stuff and you have to do a couple thousand of them and they come in every day, you start sounding the same,
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of science.
Well, also the interesting
but
part is
believe
that
those guys are gonna.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go. You're the guest. You go ahead.
Oh, okay. I believe those guys are going to go and change everything because everybody's just a lot of people are just making stuff up now.
Oh, of course. Well,
with
no,
the
they're
seed
at the end of
companies and everything,
they're at the end of it now, where it's like they don't even know. You know what I mean? So, because that's the problem is when it comes to you as something, and then you're not 100% sure, and then you throw your own twist on it. And that happens, year after year after year, sometimes multiple times in a year. Then you're talking like over the last 20 plus years, you can be so far off the market at a certain point because people love to, when Hayes was selling, everything was a Hayes, you know what I mean? And you're like, okay, it just doesn't, just because it has a weird like Jack smell doesn't automatically mean it's a Haze, you know what I mean? It just means it has part Jack in it, which
exactly.
Which is a very strong dominant thing. You know what I mean?
And the thing is too about seed. See, you were a big part of the seed market when it grew in Europe, and you watched it grow. And like I say, you were a part of it. And now, it's continuing to grow, but it's well, from Morocco, it's pretty much maxed out.
Oh, I know. It is. It is. And the funny part is that like, the what's sought after now, a lot of times, and I ran into this a lot. I'm sure you've probably seen it too, where you're like way out in the middle of nowhere, and then you think you found something super cool, like, oh my God, dude, is this the lost fucking type of plant? And then later you find out it's like from Sensi or something, and you're like what? Like, a guy came in from Holland and he gave me a pack and I grew him, and then we forgot about the weed we were growing and we just been growing that, and you're like, so it's been here for 20 years, but it's now, and we're getting to that stage where that's almost more common than not because everywhere has access.
Now here's the real interesting thing though. Now there's technology's totally changed the whole paradigm because now with the internet, people in remote locations can look up stuff, and they have access to information they never had before. And if they have the U.S. mail, or if they have some kind of a mail system, they can mail in samples from, like Africa or somewhere, in Central Africa, say, and to Philos, and they can track it. And before, you used to have to go personally and pick this stuff up. And do it. Now it can all be done, like really remotely. And so I think that's going to change things a lot.
Yeah, it's going to expose going to expose some things that we're going to be all bummed out about because it's like meeting your hero sometimes and you're like, what? That guy was such a douchebag. It's like you thought it was going to be so cool, and then you don't really you'll never look at them the same, you know what I mean? You'll never look at the movie or whatever, listen to the music the same. You're like, nah.
It's going to take the mystique out of a lot of stuff for sure.
Yeah, it's.
And then the other deal is what I'm learning. I've been hanging out with the hemp guys, there's one guy, Jerry Norton, up in Oregon in Salem. Well, he grew 100 acres of hemp, and he's extracting CBD oil out of it. And this year he's going to partner with people and grow more hemp too, and then grow more of his own acreage. But he's at he'll grow over 1,000 acres this year.
And do you know what
yeah.
you know what kind of seed he was using, by any chance, or like?
Yeah, he's got one that because he's a grass seed grower to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like the black sheep of the family, you know. But they're one of the big grass seed growers in Oregon. Well, he's using one that they developed called the Holy Grail, and it will not produce THC.
That's awesome.
Yeah, will not produce. Yeah, only CBD. Yeah, but one of the things I learned from him is when you're planting 100 acres,
Mm-hmm.
There's a hell of a lot of ground there to cover, and you pretty much have to use seed because
Yeah.
making enough clones for 100 acres is almost, well, it's not impossible, but it's a big
It's
big
labor.
job.
It's
Takes
super
a big
labor intensive.
facility.
Super labor intensive, and it's also not
Yeah.
not really moving forward either. It's like you're putting yourself in a super
No.
dangerous. You're like you're basically monocropping at that point. And if you do that,
Yeah.
you're gonna set yourself up for failure, because if there is one problem and they all get it and they're all one, if you might have a couple clones, but you don't have the same sort of heavy variants, but at the same time hybrid vigor that you would have with.
No, not at all. And none of those seeds have been developed for those guys yet. So that's going to be a big new opening market. And because there's going to be, sooner or later, we're going to be able to farm cannabis with tractors. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, we have to. Well, that's the thing, is we have to mechanicalize it so that we don't have to be, because that was the Achilles heel of the whole deal right out of the gate was that it was basically you needed slaves to do it, which was what they did back in the day. And then when that wasn't really possible anymore, and now that the only thing they could do slave would be maybe prisoners would be able to do it, but wouldn't be a very viable option as far as selling that to the world. Like, we're going to use prisoners to extract all the hemp because it's labor intensive. But in general, it is cool to see this whole thing happening. It's like it is starting to, like, we're at like front row of watching this turn into like a real industry, which is more interesting to me than cannabis, in the sense of like when I start to see houses being built and nanotechnology being created from hemp and stuff that never even kind of passed my mind, as far maybe the building part, but not the nanotechnology and not the battery capacity and all these things like that. You're like, really? Okay, this is definitely stepping in a new direction. And are you involved in any hemp activities, like besides what we're just talking about right now?
Well, I'm going to we're going to start a CBD oil brand and see how that goes.
Right.
And move forward with that. Yeah, that's a new thing, because I figure get into CBD, you can ship it across the borders. There haven't been any trouble with that. Hasn't been any at all. So that gives you a lot more latitude than just having to stay in one state. But
right.
I've looked at that. I'm looking at a couple other things. I'm not sure. Looking at doing some stuff in Puerto Rico. But those guys are always so slow. And
hey, don't be racist. Don't be racist on my show, buddy. Don't get.
No, I'm not. It's
true.
Tropics.
It's
Everything's
true.
slow.
It's true.
Everything's slow.
It's like calling a Jamaican
always
slow
in
and
the
be like,
tropics.
well, yeah, of
and
course.
Everybody likes it slow.
Right.
And they brag about it, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm just kind of tired of stuff. There's a lot of cool things going on, like Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to some guys from Colombia. This one guy, Henry, but I don't remember his last name. Mm-hmm. He was the guy that had the fair in Bogota last year.
Right.
He's having another one this year, and he said it was really well attended. But the Indians over there in Cauca, that's the state or a province that is in with Cali. The
sure
big town Cali. Well, those guys grew 50 tons of marijuana last year.
Oh yeah, they don't like tons.
Yeah.
They only like tons down there. Nothing can be in anything less. If it's less than tons,
Yeah,
no one
no.
wants to talk to you. You're like, what?
Yeah.
10.
Yeah,
You're like, I
that's the
want
way it is.
10. They're like, tons? You're like, no, like grams. They're like, no,
Yeah,
get out of here.
but
get the hell out
Check
of here.
it out. Here's the interesting part. This is the part that flips me out. Talk about, this world being interesting and this watching the change. Well, when FARC, the revolutionary group from Colombia, when they went out of business, when they surrendered all their arms and left Cauca, well, the Indians took over. And when the Indians took over, they continued to grow cannabis, but wanted it to be legal. They got it legal and imposed the same tax system that FARC had imposed upon them, right? So that's how they, have a tax base and everything.
Right.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, no, it's
that they use the same tax system as the guerrillas.
of course, and I mean, I've heard some pretty interesting things too. Also via Barcelona, so like people coming out of Barcelona doing projects down in Colombia, and it sounded like it's going to be pretty widespread, really fast, and they're talking, and that's the thing about Colombians; they always do things big. I mean, we've noticed that. Speaking of which. Back in the day when you went down to that project in Colombia, which was completely clandestine, but at the same time documented so well, which was awesome to see.
Yeah. The FARC was there. They were in control. They had to pay them tax.
Right. And I mean, and it was
They
literally,
paid them.
literally in the jungle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They pinched the electricity out of a electrical line there, and they paid the FARC like 50,000 euros a year.
All right.
And then they got like six guerrillas to kind of like help them out. Well, not help them out. They didn't work. They just guarded the place.
Exactly.
And they had to feed them and house them. That's part of the deal too. So they had 6 more mouths to feed. But it was, and the cool thing is they, all they did was bring in a few tools, like a come along for making a fence. It's like for stretching wire.
Right.
And they had a saw, and it was a hand saw rather than a power saw, because hand saws don't break.
Sure.
And then 2 or 3 other tools, screwdrivers, hammers, and then plastic. And then they made the whole greenhouse out of bamboo and just cut it with a couple of different saws.
Right.
And constructed it out there in the jungle. But they made a whole series of greenhouses. And really, the plastic was the most important part. Yeah, but man, it worked really well.
Yeah, and it was also, like I was saying before, it was like meticulously photographed, which was awesome. And some of it that blew me away was the fact that like the washing machine that they brought out there was cleaner than a lot of washing machines we've seen in like people's places.
It was brand new. Those were all brand new.
I know, but they even made it out there like on the back of a donkey without getting beat up. It would have been trashed if anybody if any of us had tried to take it out there, we would have destroyed it. But also what was interesting too was the fact that it was I think Mila supplied all the seeds, right, to them, and then that was all via like different seed companies and. Yeah,
they had like 110, 118 different seed companies or different varieties from a whole lot of different seed companies.
Which was kind of good because in a way it wasn't like they even got a lot of them directly from a lot of those companies. In a way they kind of got what everybody else would have gotten if they bought seeds because it came via a distributor, not necessarily the producers. So
yeah, and I remember from them they had one variety, one strain. It was Titanic. That was the only one that didn't have any mold trouble at all.
Right.
None whatsoever, and that was the only one. Everything else had some kind of mold trouble.
Yeah, well,
it's a
jungle.
It's 5 degrees north latitude.
Yeah, it's definitely not what people. It's kind of out of its element there a little bit. I mean, it's kind of like one of those things where it would like it a little higher up and a little maybe just not so wet. That's kind of the. But at the same time, I'm sure they thrived in on other departments. You know what I mean, because of the location and the UV and all that. Hey, those painters are making a lot of noise back there, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I came into the garage.
I see what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Colombia. They had a hard time quality control, and they had, for when they trimmed and everything, and then they didn't have a real good market. It was a long way to move all of that bulky stuff, and that's why they all do cocaine, because there's so much money in it. And
right.
And those guys just don't like to do. They're just not into that stuff. So anyway, Colombia is a pretty hard market, but if those guys get it together and it's legal, and if the Indians already grew 50 tons, they can easily step it way up this year. Because it was pretty basic last year, apparently. And if they get a good price for their cannabis, they'll do it.
Well, that's the thing is, from what I gather, they can export to other Latin American countries, which is definitely, a marketing plus as far as if you start thinking back, it's like, well, Colombia kind of deserves that position anyway, because they were producing quality cannabis back in the day. Now, of course, everybody's moved on to other plants, but for the most part, even when it was like, in fashion, let's say, and people were exporting everywhere, Colombia had always been pretty much the supplier for everywhere anyway. So they definitely know how to produce weight. That's for sure.
That's true. Yeah, they have a long history there, and it's just got a great climate. Man, I was in Medellin, and I went to a couple of years ago anyway, 2.5 years ago now, and I went to Rio Negro, Black River, which is right next to it, and that's where they grow a lot of the chrysanthemums. It's a huge flower growing region, and I'll tell you, the soil, it was the best I've ever seen. The water was pure and clear, and great right out of the Andes, and the days were pretty much 12 hours every day, and the temperature was perfect. You couldn't get better conditions for growing cannabis. You just couldn't. It's a great place. That's
what it's all about. It's all about location. Like people, I sometimes always would be like, okay, well, if you're from California and you can't grow good weed outdoors, and it's like, then it's more you and it's less the plant, and it's less the thing.
Yeah.
But if you're from like somewhere else, and it's like, well, you're really fighting, with either your lighting conditions, your photo periods, you're up in Minnesota or something like that, but you still pull off killer crops because you got it all dialed in. Those things happen all the time, no problem, and it's just a matter of, but if somebody also takes some equatorial sativa and try to grow it there, and it'd be like, it doesn't work. And it's like, yeah, of course, because you just picked the wrong plant for the wrong thing.
These guys can grow anything. There's just a ton of really good growers around. There's Dutch flower growers there. I met one of those guys, and they just know what they're doing. I met some flower breeders, some Colombian ones, and they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Things are going to move forward there, and then in Chile too. I don't know as much about Chile. I haven't been there. They keep asking me to go.
Yeah, you should go. They keep asking me to go. Keep asking me to go. We should time our things and get down there together, because I want to.
Yeah, that'd work.
I definitely would like to go to that show. I think that's going to be interesting. I don't know, what's the population of Chile though compared to other. It's like it's pretty good size now. It's like, I don't know, 20 million, 25, maybe more. Right.
But that show there, it's at a public park in Santiago. And the guys from Cáñamo magazine are real big there. I talked to them about it, But it's at a public park there, and it's over the weekend. So there's already a bunch of people showing up there.
Sure.
And then it's a free admission since it's public, because people just don't have as much money down there.
Yeah, no, it definitely is a different financial sort of situation compared to Europe or America or something like that. But it is cool to get the right genetics in their hands and have them, because it is amazing the lack of quality that's kind of out there just because people got driven into a corner. You know what I mean? Like getting. Especially like a lot of South American places too. Like when I was in Rio, it was terrible. It was like, oh my God, the wheat here is so bad.
Rio is horrible.
Yeah.
Those guys get that really bad imported Paraguayan
Paraguay.
dough.
Yeah, exactly. The Paraguay stuff is all
Oh
hard.
man, and it comes and it's moldy and it's hard.
Yeah.
It's worse than the Mexican dirt we used to get.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. I mean, that's how bad it is. It's just horrible.
Yeah, and speaking of Mexico, we're just gonna fly through these different countries down there. But you also did some specials back in the day about Mexico with more like a little input from other people. Obviously, it wasn't like local production, let's say, but it was also pretty interesting. Just the vibe of the whole thing, because that was what years were those? What year was that article come out? What was it called?
That was, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago now.
Right.
That was, I went down to visit some mafia farms, and that was a real trip, because, you just, basically they're big farms,
Yeah, and they just take it to the next level, acreage. Some of those guys, right?
Yeah, acreage, and they were all in greenhouses. One of them was, I don't know, it was over 5 acres under plastic. And then another one was was almost half that size.
Right.
And so that's quite a bit. But yeah, the one place, well, it was interesting because, these things serve kind of like as a halfway house for really hardened criminals. People that have been over there in Sinaloa, Culiacan, that were involved in the amapolas, the poppy trade.
Right.
Well, now they're growing plants, because the poppy trade, there's a lot of gunplay in that,
sure,
the heroin and stuff. And now they're growing plants and everything. But it's funny, everybody is armed.
Right.
To see people working in the greenhouse and be strapped with a weapon.
Right.
But and I ask guys, I go, what did you used to do? And they go, I was a pistolero. Pistolero. What's that? I go, well, what's that mean? What exactly is that? They go, well, I said, what'd you do? And they go, whatever they tell me to do. Oh, okay.
They're like, so you go shoot people. That's basically your job.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
That's basically all you do. Yeah.
All the guns had names and things, that was kind of weird. But those guys were, moving out of that life because a lot of people had been killed. One of the farms that I went to, the El Capo, there were 6 brothers, and 4 of them got killed. And that was over in Sinaloa. And so they moved up to central Mexico, to Durango.
Yeah, no,
that's the thing is marijuana.
That's the thing is that Mexico's always grown weed and always had a lot of violence, and nothing's really changed. It's just in a weird way.
They got a lot more violent. It's a lot more violent now than it was.
Yeah, and a lot less weed too. Well, there's still always a lot of weed, but
that's true.
But
man, I went to university there in the 70s, and I was there 2 days and scored a kilo at the university. It was great.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing is, as a kid, when we used to always cross the border, I mean, Mexico always was like, wow, this is the place anything can happen. But there wasn't as much. There was always police presence, and there was always guns, and there was always something. But it definitely was like way more relaxed before compared to now. Now it's just like straight. Now it's like you definitely put yourself in a crazy position if you work with people, anywhere there because they're almost all you have to be connected. If you're not connected, you're not working, because it's like you're saying before, you have to pay the right people off, and that's always a hard one if you don't know who to work with, and
Well, that's true, and see, they don't either because my mafia friends explained it to me. I said, well, how do you know? They said the police are more like a partnership you have with them.
Right.
And I said, oh, okay, well, that's good. So you just, basically they hold up their end and don't bust you and protect you. And you go, yeah. But the problem is there's 3 levels. There's local police, there's state police, and then there's federal police.
Yeah, the federal.
And you don't know. And los federales, they cost more.
Yeah, exactly.
So
out of your level a lot of times.
And they trump the others. And you don't know if you're being trumped or not. You have to always be on the lookout. But you can't tell anybody about it you're on the lookout because otherwise they'll start charging you.
Yeah, it's definitely not the it's like buddying up with Hell's Angels or something like that. It's like, I know people who are like, yeah, the guys from Hell's Angels, they say they're going to help out. And you're like, really? You think that's going to work out? I don't think so. That's always like, the best case scenario is that they really like you, and that's not a good thing. You know what I mean? You don't want them to like you. You don't want them to hate, you don't want them to hate you. You just want them to not even have anything to do with you because it's pretty simple.
Here's the way it works.
Because there's great people everywhere.
They take your shit. They take your stuff.
Yep. Yeah, and it's never the guy that it's his friend, you know what I mean? Or not even friend, but he's a colleague, let's say. And they, and that's the thing is you're a mark. Everybody's a mark to somebody, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what cannabis has always been susceptible to. But now, of course, with legal sort of operations and stuff, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see Colombia because Colombia is so deep into that stuff that it's not even like they're going to have a harder time. It's almost like Cali. Like Cali's going to have a harder time adjusting just because they're so used to their loosey-goosey ways. And now they're going to be like, what? You got to write it down? Like, fuck that.
It's pretty amazing. I guess, my lawyer from Spain goes down there. He's got a house now in Cauca where they're near where they're growing. And he said that the Indians are pulling it off, And Colombia's really pretty darn stable and stuff. The big one was getting rid of the FARC. And the revolutionary group, now it's not a big problem. It's substantially different than it was before.
So are you going down that way anytime soon, or?
Maybe. I've been thinking about going down there in the winter. Maybe this winter coming up, actually. There's a few places I'd like to go. I'd like to go, above and beyond, just go to Argentina and hang out there because they've got glaciers and all kinds of stuff. It's a great place, Argentina.
Sure. And of course, you're picking out the right seasons because now it's their summer. Of course, you're on your endless summer, I guess, huh?
Oh man, it's just got the best climate. I was in Medellin for a week, and check it out. I met 2 people there, that 2 newsworthy people. One was Pablo Escobar's brother, and the other one was Alvaro Uribe, the ex-president. Now he's still the senator of Antioquia, the province of Medellin.
Right.
Yeah.
Wicked.
That was pretty amazing. Yeah, we had a meeting with Uribe, and I remember we went in there. There's military all around, heavy security. Not super heavy, but, heavy enough. We couldn't miss them. And somebody goes, don't sit by the window. Just stay away from the window.
Right. Got to stick by those old rules.
Yeah.
Put your back against the wall.
Yeah.
Put your back against the wall.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it was interesting. He wasn't real receptive, but because of the history of Colombia, because they've had a real violent history, and it's been real ugly.
Yeah.
And now they just want to put that behind them and not think about it.
No, they're going to do a medical. They're going to do a medical program there, right? It's not. It's pretty much like It's not a recreational out of the gate in any way, shape, or form.
You can grow 20 plants recreationally.
Okay, so it is
in
kind
Colombia now.
okay. So that it is recreational already, or was medical first, or did they just
Yeah.
skip the whole thing and go straight to it?
No, it's been that way for a year or two now.
Okay, that's awesome.
And it's not. It hasn't been big international news. And then the stuff that's been making the news are the guys like Farmacielo that are putting in a big installation. But those guys, I don't know. You got to watch a lot of people. I talked to the local Colombian guys. This guy Henry, and he said they're not real sold on the foreigners because they just want to, take all the assets and leave.
Right.
Take all the winnings and leave. And these other guys are with the Indians over in Gauca. And my lawyer goes over there too, and he loves the Indians and what they're doing. And they're sure growing. And if they grew 50 tons last year, they can probably, easily double that this year, I would imagine, or more, So they're going to have a lot of dope to move. It'll be great.
Right. Well, and that's the crazy part is like when you see some of these facilities, either in operation or even just being built or being thought out and drawn up, you start to like calculate in your mind, like, wow, like there's so much cannabis that's being produced. And at the end of the day, do these guys have any contracts that are going to make a dent, like even a dent into the production that they're going to do? Because there is going to be, more cannabis on the planet than ever before in these next few years, just because of the fact that there's mega grows going on in operation, which never even happened before. And then on top of that, lots more smaller growers, and just kind of add to the, if everybody threw their weight on top, I mean, it's definitely maxing out every year, I would think.
It is, and it's continuing to grow like this. I was amazed, just like, for example, in Portland, Oregon, to change locations. Everybody in Oregon can grow 4 plants there. And my God, everybody is growing in their backyard. It's amazing. And that's just backyard growers are making a huge dent.
That's what I mean. Well, Oregon, those are big
grower,
ones. Big guys.
Yeah,
big
and
plants.
like here in my backyard last year, I grew 10 pounds,
mm-hmm.
And it's easy enough to do, and I didn't even try, and imagine if you have somebody with full sun in a halfway decent climate, you can get a 10-pound plant.
Sure.
A 5-pound is, you can do it. A 5-pound is easy enough to do. 10 pounds takes a little bit of luck with the climate and stuff.
Sure, and
but if you
mostly
you can still get that.
Yeah, and mostly in those situations, it's just proper planning as far as you're caging your plants properly and coming up with. Could be before it becomes an issue and everything's hanging and looking like, oh, it was so great a week ago, and now look at it. I was like, that's usually where that's where you go wrong. Whereas if you build like I've seen guys out in Oregon do like double and triple cages just because they're like, okay, well, the inner cage and everything gets cleaned out, and you have to clean the whole plant from the inside main stem all the way out is much further than you'd want to, of course, but otherwise you end up with just nightmare amount of larvae, So that's the other thing about those big plants is you're still only looking at the surface area of that giant plant.
It's kind of amazing. I've seen them in Humboldt do this. They're doing as many as, it depends on the season, admitted, for sure, on the weather.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll harvest minimum twice and a lot of times 3 and as many as 4 times a plant. They'll take the top 2 feet of buds off one of those great big plants,
right,
and then let it go for another couple of weeks. And there's buds inside, so if you've got a real strong, healthy plant that is outdoors,
mm-hmm.
you don't even have to clean it out inside.
Right.
A little bit, but not much. And then there's still buds in there, and taking the outer layer off gets light in there. And then you take another layer off,
mm-hmm.
and then if your weather holds, you can get another harvest out of it.
Sure.
But it's like 6 weeks that takes.
Right, and that's
so
like
you gotta have the proper climate.
And that is like classic indoor mentality as far as like trying to get everything. If you cut the plant back and everything's like a super lime green underneath it and it's like barely developed, it kind of hurts. It hurts your bottom line. It'll hurt your bottom line on your bigger products. So you pretty much can call that bottom stuff a wash, or you can do that. Lower your lights and kind of go for that second harvest idea, which works, but it's always a little bit of it's always one of those things because then your timing is different with your plants because this one was drying earlier, that was drying later. So, and the crazy part is like you can't do. I mean, of course, in your backyard you can do whatever the fuck you want, which is awesome. But in like commercial growing now here in Colorado, at least. You can't ever do that because they want you to take the whole plant down at the one time and weigh everything out. And you can't take a half, you know what I mean, and then come back and connect those two dots, So everything has to. So because of the way the metrics works, you have to harvest according to their parameters. Which
you
sucks.
have to harvest the whole thing at once.
Yeah.
Well, talking about that, that's another thing that I'm seeing with the greenhouse. Now, there's a guy, and this is a special climate, too, because he's in Salinas, California, and Salinas, they call it the salad bowl of the nation. Mm-hmm. But anyway, they've got a great climate there, and it's real mild. Well, the deal is his first year he got 4.5 crops out of his greenhouse, and the way he gets so much out, what he does, he's got a 30 by 96 greenhouse. He goes in, everything's grown in a container, so it stays a little bit warmer. But he goes in there and cuts everything out all at once and takes the pots out and puts new pots in the next day with new plants in them and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then he cuts everything at once and then freezes it, puts it all in a freezer, takes the stems off, puts leaves and everything in the freezer, and then they take it to process it for, they can have live resin. They can do anything they want with it at that point. But he's been moving things really, really well. And they've got a minimum of labor because that's really a big issue these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what we were talking about earlier with hemp. I mean, that's we can't all have hired guys to come out and work for us, running around the air, but no, in general. Oh my God, what's going on now?
Yeah, I gotta go in the other room.
You feeling water?
Hear him pounding away.
Yeah, are you feeling water at the same time too?
Yeah. Oh, you can hear.
Oh yeah, I can hear real good.
Yeah, I was getting a glass of water because I'm dry. And that was at the refrigerator.
We have all experienced your water now. It's like we have the wave file now of your water coming in, so it's pretty awesome.
Oh, I didn't think that would come through. I'm on headphones.
I know we're sensitive. We're sensitive around here.
Wow, quite sensitive.
Exactly. So I think we may get interrupted in a minute by the 420 Gene on the Scene Gene on the Scene. Update with James Bean. So if that happens, you know all the characters involved. Anyway, we have Mr. James Bean, and I think it was going to be Mike from Exotic might drop in for a second, and and we're all on the air together, so it's fine. We can 3-way, 5-way, whatever.
Okay.
Do you know Mike from Exotic? Have you ever met him?
Mike from Exotic. I can't. I don't place him right now, but
Exotic Genetics.
I could know him.
They are definitely killing the game right now as far as wins and things. But he's very he's one of those guys. He's very I wouldn't say he's opinionated because I don't know him that well, but he's definitely got his opinions, which is good, and he's also very which we like because on panels and stuff like that, we definitely want to have opposites. And let's say when we were on the panel with him and me, and it was I think it was DJ Short. He was holding his tongue the whole time. DJ Short would talk about anything because he was just like, oh my God, because of course his philosophies are way more based on equatorial sativas and that's it, you know what I mean, and forget everything else, and everybody moved to the tropics and kind of not the most reality sort of based sort of ideas. We can't all move to the tropics. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, we're not all made for this. It's pretty hot in the tropics.
And also plants don't all like them either. I mean, they most of the plants I know, or the ones that we like, aren't really tropical sort of prepared. They're too small height-wise, and they're too wide-leafed, and they're gonna probably mold or something. You know what I mean? So you're kind of
you're pretty
limited.
It's got a different light light regimen there too. You know, it's a lot different there in the tropics.
Yeah,
Got different bug problems.
Yeah, and you like, again, back to Brazil. I was there, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago or something like that. And when I got there, my friend was like, "Yeah, I want to grow some weed," and I was like, "Okay, that's cool. Let's go check it out." And we literally like couldn't find anything there.
It's really hard to find.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so where are we gonna get this soil from? Because the soil here sucks. Like, we went to look at what they had. It was like dry, and it was just crazy. And then you're looking around, and you're like, okay, it's all lush, and there's jungly stuff here, but it isn't really you can't really go out and start digging around because he lived in Rio, you know what I mean? So it was like, we're not going to go around and start digging into people's houses. Like, we're just digging some dirt.
It's hard to get decent dirt. Like it'd be like in New York City trying to find some dirt.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. We went around, and I was like, this is not going so well. And then I was thinking about, like, okay, so where are you going to put this in your tiny little apartment? And looking at their power and all their situations, I was like, yeah, it's probably not the greatest idea. Which luckily I abandoned.
You could go see my buddy there, William, from Grow Room. I know him really pretty well.
Oh, nice.
He's a true stoner. He's the one. He's the guy there.
Oh, you mean Willem? You mean Willem? Yeah, I know Willem. Yeah, he's awesome. He's like the man on the. He's the man on the scene too. He's definitely that guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's everywhere. You see him at every show, and you're like,
yeah, exactly.
How did you get here?
Exactly. He has the Grow Room.
Yeah.
And they're just, barely getting by. The laws suck there. They're just horrid.
Yeah.
The very bad laws, and they import the cannabis. Nobody really grows that much. They call it maconha. Maconha. Yeah, but
yeah,
they can only get it from Portugal, from
Paraguay.
Paraguay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible. And I just think of paraquat, whatever they would say, Paraguay, because I'd be like, "You sure you didn't say paraquat? Because this stuff looks dead." It's like, it was lucky I brought I had hash with me, so I could survive because I could actually roll a joint with some hash with that and make it like bearable, you know what I mean? But with that, the minute I didn't have any hash, I was like, all right, I gotta get out of here. It's like, this place is gonna kill me. I can't. This is not gonna work because you couldn't make hash out of it. It was already squished and terrible and moldy and funky.
Oh, horrible.
Yeah.
God, yeah. And then Uruguay, I don't know much about what's going on there. I heard that I read that they're starting to sell the cannabis now, but that's it. So I haven't had any direct reports and stuff. I know several people there that have been growing for quite a while, and they get by pretty well. But as far as big projects with the government, those were just pretty much mismanaged by the government guys, and it made things fall behind about 3 years because of poor management. And then, like I said, Chile, man, I don't know. Those are probably the most squared away of everybody down there.
Right.
Yeah.
But
there's a lot going on in the South.
It is interesting to see like how these waves are developing, and like, even when you think it's obviously nationwide, we realize it's not, especially in our South. Our South is fucked. I mean, there's like Louisiana and states like that are just terrible, like draconian almost, as far as their laws. And now we have sessions in there. Now we have sessions in there, which is just like the same school, of thought. And
man.
So everyone's scared.
That guy's spooky.
Right? And everybody.
But the good thing is, here's the good news though. They're not giving him any money to go after marijuana people, which is a good thing so far.
But what happened was, he's such a wily little coyote motherfucker. He just what he did was he went into the budgets of all the different states and realized that a couple states had like left the back door open, and he could get in there and like allocate money for that because they haven't put in that. Yeah, there was like 2 states or 3 states, which are probably like in the South. I'm sure it is like Louisiana, Georgia, but it's not going to be any of the any liberal-minded smart states is going to be just like
not at all.
So in the end of the day, he's like got a little bit of money in a few states that probably don't even have programs yet, but he's going to keep them from having programs. That's what I kind of gathered from the report that I was reading.
Oh man.
But in general, it's like, it's pretty scary when we got like a well, not really scary. I think we're all kind of like it's almost like traveling with TSA now. Like if you travel with weed and they question you, you're just like gonna laugh at them almost like, what are you talking about, dude? Like I take weed every time I'm on the plane. You know what I mean? It's like it's almost become normal, so normal now that it's like weird because I wouldn't do it in Europe.
That's true.
But in America,
Yeah,
I
everything's changed. Doesn't it seem like it's backwards now from what it used to be?
exactly. Like
You know,
Europe
think
used to be a
about
little looser.
Netherlands. I used to, Europe used to be the coolest, easiest place now, but they've had all those terror attacks.
Yep.
And they check everybody a lot more, and it's a whole different ballgame over there now compared to
It is.
here.
It is, and the people are tenser because I literally have not been back in 4.5, 5 years now. So it's kind of like.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I haven't really had any reason to go back. And Holland is not. I don't want to go back to Holland.
Holland's terrible.
Spanibus I would go to for sure, and I kind of feel like I missed it every year.
It's always fun.
And
you'll see everybody too. You know so many people there.
Yeah, it's like high school reunion every time. Like you go walk around.
Yeah,
like, hey,
and all the bosses come, and everybody wants to come to Barcelona. From all over Europe because it's warm.
Exactly. Exactly. No, it is the perfect
spot. It's a good airport. It's got all the qualities.
Yeah. The only problem with it now is it is like almost outgrown itself where it's at. I think from what I gather, people keep telling me like it's wall to wall, and you can't get to booth. Like you couldn't. Like people are like, yeah, I saw Doug at the booth, but I couldn't get.
Oh right, I saw Doug. I saw him there too.
Yeah,
him and Frenchie.
And you couldn't get there, though. You were like, I can't get there. No, you maybe could, but I mean, in general, my friend was like, yeah, I looked, and the booth was so busy, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, it was the last day when everybody was hanging out, and it was really thinning out.
Nice.
That was the best time.
So, yeah.
You can see the people hang out and see people, yeah.
So, we do have a guest in the wings, which we have to call in. That's where I was one of those things where we may have to call in the Wolf Master himself, Mr. Wolf Siegel. Mr. Wolf, are you out there, Wolf? You have to call him like a wolf. You have to be like, ow. You have to do a wolf. Can you do a wolf noise? Can you make a wolf noise? Can you do one? Can you do one? Give me a wolf noise. There we go. Ow.
Is there a wolf out there? Ow.
All right, that should work. He called like Johnny on the spot and called before the show even started, and I was like, well, that's not when you call. You call like when the show's rolling. I call you in. I tried to make it all clear, but
he went back and started rolling, and
now he's rolling, and he's got joints. He's all well. Anyway, whenever he wants to call in, because we still have we got time. We just passed 4:20. So he should be coming out of it now, out of this. But you met Wolf a long time ago when he was like he came to you with his I think Sea of Green idea.
Yeah, I've known him for years and years. Actually, since a long time ago in Portland, Oregon, he started working there at what was it, Hydro.
Yeah.
What was the name of it?
Now was that
it
Greg?
Was the Hydro store.
Greg McAllister's place or something like that?
No, it was with Kevin Borenson.
Okay.
Hydrotech. That was it. Hydrotech. And that was on Sandy Boulevard.
Right.
Yeah, and he's been around. He's done a lot of stuff over the years. He's a real interesting guy.
Well, he wrote. I mean, he wrote.
Has some big lives behind him so far.
Yeah, he wrote under Farmer in the Sky, right? That was his.
That was Kevin. Kevin was the Farmer in the Sky. Wolfie may have done columns too. I don't know about.
Yeah,
that.
I think he did. Yeah. I think he did. So he
very well could have.
He may have taken over his moniker there.
Because he's real articulate.
Yeah, and the thing is that I remember reading all those articles, and they were because what I liked about them the most is that they were about cannabis, of course, but the way they drew their pictures and stuff, they weren't like trying to like make everything bud shots. They were just trying to kind of like give you the idea. Like here, it's like more like Popular Mechanics.
Oh, yeah.
It was more like Popular Mechanics was covering it than Playboy. You know what I mean? And then it was like, whoa, dude, look at that. And then there's no idea how it was grown. But then these ones are more like, oh yeah, you see how it goes into that bucket there and it keeps recirculating? That's cool. And then you just kind of got it after a while. And they had some great articles, which I always thought were like super timeless. I remember carrying those. I took those to Amsterdam with me, along with Jack's Emperor and a few other books, and those were like my little secret Bibles because
that's all there was back then.
and then and then people, except for you, of course.
Sinsemia Tips was around. They were probably part of Sinsemia Tips because he wrote for that magazine.
Yeah, exactly.
Sinsemia Tips, yeah. And Tom Alexander, he's the publisher. He's still a good friend of mine. He's in Sacramento now. Moved to Sac.
Yeah, it was funny because Tom, at one point I remember I called him from Amsterdam and I was like, hey, I got this store and we're selling books. And if you got any old Sensi tips, I'd love to sell them. And he was like, I got a whole garage full, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh shit, how am I gonna make this work? And I was trying to figure out how to get them over, and we never did, of course. It wasn't cost effective at that point in time because everything was like shipping was way different.
Too
than
bad,
that.
yeah.
And then I think
because
I had him on the show once. I think he does still have a lot of those originals because, again, those were like stuff where. If you read it now, it's just as relevant as it was then. There might be a few obvious things where they may have been in the wrong angle, but for the most part, everything was pretty damn spot on.
Yeah, totally. The thing is, remember what campaign against marijuana planting?
Yeah, that fucked everything.
Those guys would come, the paramilitary group that would come every year. And with helicopters and destroyed the crops and stuff.
They fucked everybody up.
They were yeah.
And that's crazy because we're like finally at this point where, people are starting. I mean, people obviously appreciated cannabis, but people didn't. Even actual people who smoked a lot of weed didn't understand the bigger picture. The bigger dynamics of it all. And I think. Like Jack exposed it a lot when he talked about hemp, and he, focused mostly on everything except for the recreational, but he still obviously recreated a lot because when you met him, you're like, yeah, this guy recreates a lot. It was he was pre-recreation. He was still when they were calling it getting high, so he didn't. I think when D'Angelo came over the one time in like '94 or '5, it was maybe. And they wanted to recreate somewhere, and I was all, sorry, not recreate. They wanted to medicate somewhere. I was like, "What are you talking about?" It was like for me that was like already like weird. Like I was, because I was in Amsterdam. I was like, "What do you mean, like get high?" And they're like, "No, we mean medicate." They were like really adamant about it because they were like the first guys pushing that agenda. I was around '95,
right?
So it was just around that time period.
No, all the terminology, the terminology's all changed. You're right.
And then I was like, "Oh, what?
100%.
I was like, "What are you talking about?" And it took me the longest time because I would like always. It's like saying "fuck" on the air or in front of your kid or something like that. You just do it. Oh, right. Sorry. And at a certain point, you can train yourself. It's interesting. Like you will train yourself, and when you do, finally, you're like. That's ingrained. You know what I mean? Now all of a sudden you can't swear in front of your kid, or like your kid's like 18. Like, you can swear in front of me, Dad. It's okay. Fungu. Yeah. So you have to. Yeah.
Well,
it's weird.
Yeah. No, that's so true. I mean, because just look at the word cannabis and marijuana. I've forced myself to use cannabis all the time now.
Yeah. Because, for sure. And slips every so often. Every so often you'll say the M word, and you'll be like, "Oh, I swear."
Yeah.
Almost like you swore. It's almost like
exactly. But on my videos, I'm still putting up 2 videos a week now on have been for some time on YouTube.
Nice.
And last month I got over 360,000 views on the YouTube. It was pretty amazing.
On the old tuber, huh? Nice.
Yeah.
Once we get our studio finally designed here, we probably get more on there too. It's just like we upload all our shows to YouTube, but it's not as exciting as you and your YouTube only audience. I bet you've got a huge fan
people
base.
Love that to see garden tours.
So now you're going to talk just about this show on your next show, right? That'll be your next show is going to be like, hey, I was on this great show. It's called the Adam Dunn Show. Let's just talk about that, and then boom, done. Yeah, then we've done it. We've done the full circle. Now we're in the.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm looking at your videos now. If you set up in a garden That's what you need to do. Set up in a garden.
I did it. I did it when I was at my house and I was doing it, but then it was like, yeah, I don't want to do that every week because I got to pay the rent on this place. That's the whole deal. So that's why I'm like,
oh yeah,
you know, I'm show that the money's going somewhere, guys. At least it's going to this dungeon right here that I've made.
There you go.
The little DU double engine is a dungeon.
Well, it looks pretty good though. It looks like a pretty nice dungeon though.
It is. It's very Denver.
I'm looking at one of the videos now, and yeah, it looks great.
It's very Denver. Yeah, we're improving everything. We're just in one of those. We liked the old lenses and the old look and the old beat upness of it all because that wasn't really even supposed to be filmed. That's the way I always think of podcasts. Podcasts are more like
Audio.
If they're really podcasts, it's going to go in your fucking thing and you're going to listen to it while you're driving or whatever. You're not. I don't want you to look at me while you're driving. That's for sure because you're not going to see anything you want to see. Then on top of that, you're going to should be paying attention to the road, and I'm not going to show you nothing. And occasionally, you know, we do a few product things, endorsements here and there, but for the most part, like I think most podcasts should be kind of like if you really want that big audience, you kind of want to go on that less video, more audio orientated.
Sure,
I guess because I hate it when I listen to other podcasts and they're talking about they're all looking at they're pointing and laughing and you're like, what the fuck are they even? I don't even know what's going on anymore. Like it's just like I can't listen anymore. All right, turn that off. But you got your own. Do you have your own podcast at all? But you must, right? The Jorge Show.
No, I don't do that. I've been doing the videos. They've been very they've been wonderful.
Well, you're more like the Gallagher of weed. That's the difference. You know what I mean? So you're more that guy. You're the Gallagher of weed. You need that visual stuff going on. So
yeah. Actually, it would be good to like smash a bud and just see resin flying all over people.
Oh man, you'd be so pissed. You'd have so many haters. Your hater list would explode. Dude, did you see what he did to that bud? Cool, no respect, bro. You'd be like bud smasher. You'd have hashtags all about you. Be terrible. Yeah, don't do it.
But see, okay, we just put one up.
Have some spider mite. Have some spider mite covered live plants and smash them. That's what you do. There you go.
Oh yeah, people would love that.
Yeah, it'd be like go into someone's garden and make it all serious, and then when they have bugs, you just pull out the Gallagher-ness and then you smash everything, and then they're like, "What happened?" And you're like, I don't know. Jorge was here. See, that's it. Show. You got a whole show now, bro. And I just made up a show for you. No, but in general, I think it is like important that we keep spreading and that's what you've been doing forever. Is just keep spreading. Try to keep the information as proper as possible. It changes sometimes where you realize, like, fuck, I was doing it wrong the whole time. So you have to kind of backtrack your own things or kind of just keep it in mind when you're telling the next person. I mean, and it's usually nothing crazy, but it's just more like we're learning so much about this plant that it's like you could never, look at what was the first book you wrote?
Oh God, 1983.
Right.
That was forever ago. Yeah, everything's changed so much.
Yeah, and so there's going to be
the internet's just changed the world, and now since it's becoming more and more legal everywhere, people are able to study it, and that's the part that's flipping me out.
I'm looking forward to
all of the scientific information that's coming out about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the next 10 years of actually universities having their hands on it and being able to, with quality too, because if you look at what they were using, it was just garbage. You know what I mean? It was like, here, it can do this and it can do that, but it's all literally like moldy bud that they got from Mississippi, So imagine when they have good weed to work with, good material.
Right.
Not weed.
Well, I mean, states like Oregon are going to be at the forefront of that. Because, for example, the OLCC, the Oregon Liquor Control Commission, is in charge of the cannabis stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And they're also going to get the Department of Agriculture involved with it. And they're going to start doing research on it at the university. Just think about it. Those young students that have these opportunities, they're going to push cannabis into the universities and do research.
Yeah, and that's
going to shoot things way ahead. Because, see, right now, a lot of businesses are afraid to do research.
Of course.
There's no banking laws for them. It's federally illegal. And there's just a few companies that are doing research like this, and one of them's Phylos Bioscience.
No, you haven't
It's
said
got
that.
all
You
open
said
source
that. You
stuff.
said that more than 12 times. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know. I love it.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I love them, man.
We love Mowgli. We love you. We love you, Mowgli. But in
Mowgli's great.
But in general, it's like combinations of people like Phylos. I have to say it like that, though. I'm going to have to get a button. I'm going to get a Phylos button, and we're just going to hit it every time. Phylos. But the thing about guys like that are going to start it, and then there's going to be people who are going to like try to take it, because that's the biggest problem is when people, whenever they've asked me to get other people involved, people are like, yeah, and then when it gets to the moment of like giving me and I'm telling them, not, you don't have to give me a cut, you don't have to give me anything, just give me a little piece of a piece, like it's not going to be usable, and they just get nervous that, like, just like everything else that's been sold, I mean, we've had everything else sold about us, like our profiles, our spending habits, our whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Now all of a sudden it's our cannabis, you know what I mean? And that's like way too close for a lot of guys who have been like, in love with this particular plant for so long, and then they've been like, had lost relationships over it, and like, lost, friendships, whatever, but somehow hung on to this thing, and then all of a sudden someone takes it and just pulls it up on a screen, and that's almost like, it's like it's good and bad, you know what I mean? A lot of people don't want to see it, don't want to know, just want to like keep the magic alive,
Well, I think we're going to see one of the things about Phylos is they put things in public domain. Mm-hmm. So I mean, out in the public, so that proves that variety came from this guy. Yeah. At that time, so nobody else can copyright or patent it or anything. But I think the new varieties that come out will be, you're going to see a lot of differences in them. One, they're going to be stable, which is, the hardest thing right now is to stabilize something on mass scale. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is you're going to see things like disease resistance and pest resistance, and also plants are going to look differently because they're going to be made to grow outdoors. And so that means they're going to have stronger branching. Mm-hmm. And a real big root system, so they don't have to be trellised and stuff, right? And they're somewhat drought tolerant for all varieties. So I think we're going to see stuff like that. I mean, if we look at tomatoes, tomato would be an example, like the Sweet 100 cherry tomato. It's just strong as hell, and you can't slow it down, We'll see stuff like that start to be developed, because right now the cannabis, the development of it, as far as commercial growing crops go, mm-hmm. it's about in the 1930s, maybe as far ahead as the 50s, as far as you put it in relation to all the other crops. So we've got really in the 50s. So we've got about 70 years, 60 years of catching up to do as far as breeding, mm-hmm. is what I see. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we do. And interestingly enough, though, we have, a lot of shepherds considering compared to a lot of other, plants out there that may have had 10 people in the world that even give a shit about it. You know what I mean? They're like, oh yeah, I got a couple of those. You know what I mean? Like,
no, that's true. We've had tons of people. And then the other thing is about cannabis is it lends itself to really quick breeding regimens, because you can have a lot of people would have like 4 crops a year average,
right?
When they're breeding, and that's like you jump ahead 4 years at a time, so that makes things work. But it's only been bred for THC, and look what's happened with CBD, just within like 3 years, right? Remember 3 years ago, there was hardly any CBD plants. Now they're all over the place.
Right. I mean, and like you said, there's like plants like that Holy Grail that are just like, we were already just like, wow, if you could have a plant that was stably under a certain amount that you could just grow as much as you want. And the funny part was when it happened, I mean, there is definitely people who did it and people who are doing it. And some of them are, getting into some situations where they are going to have some incredible amounts of product coming off of, when you have 100 acres of anything, you're talking about plants that are producing a ton an acre, literally, and then on top of that, from that ton, getting in the ranges of 10% of yield, and then those yields turning into losing 50% of that, but still making it like a distillate or something like that. You start going in like, and you start seeing like, whoa, we're off the charts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, like,
Yeah.
like
no, literally. But one of the things is now, one of the big problems is how do you get all of this stuff and concentrate it fast enough to keep up with the harvest? Because say you don't have 100 acres, say you've got 1,000 acres, right? And so you've got to keep up with that harvest. So you've got to separate it out a lot faster, and putting things in a tube and running butane through them,
Right.
or for a while, a couple hours, or CO2 for 6 hours, just takes too long.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. Even ethanol, you got to do sometimes 24-hour like soak, before the wash. But you can do a large scale then, of course, and you know how much ethanol overall that takes to do it large scale? It's a huge amount. It's $60.
But
it's like 40 to $60 a
think-
gallon. So that ain't too cheap either, right? And it evaporates.
No,
it evaporates fast, which is
Yeah.
that's the worst part about it. If you open it up, here, there, and everywhere, you're gonna end up with.
And then you got to recapture it and stuff. And
Yeah.
But it's a long bath. That's a heck of a long time to be bathed
Yeah.
in.
I mean, they'll do
that-
shorter.
it's
They'll
a
do
time
shorter.
factor.
They'll do shorter ones, but still, it's definitely not the speediest in that sense. But the scale is higher, of course, and with any kind of hash make, I think the key was going to be just like any other thing. It's going to be an inline production where it's literally like flash frozen off the top, right off the bat, going straight through, being processed immediately, and coming out the other end, and then just being done
exactly.
because that's the only way to
Exactly.
to even consider
Yeah.
it, just because
Yeah.
it's like loading the old pollinator from Mila when she first made that, and it was like within a 2 runs, I was like, well, there's a huge Achilles heel, right? Because every time I open this fucking door, I drop a little bit of shit into my product, and I have to go back and clean it up again, which cost me twice as much processing time. There was always like these little things you had to figure out, and then it was like she made that one corkscrew one that was like about 8 feet long. That one.
Right.
And that
I know that one. Yeah.
And that one was
Yeah,
genius.
that is huge.
That one was genius, and that one, the only problem that had was that not enough people needed it. You know what I mean? And now I think everybody kind of needs that, because the idea of like, if I had a ton of weed going through my building every month or two or whatever it was, or something, half a ton or whatever, I'd say if it has to move from room A to room B, there should be like that tunnel that it needs to go through that goes right into my little office. You know what I mean? Like, here it is, this is Adam's office. It's just like,
exactly.
everything passes by my office, please, and let me look at it as it goes by.
It could be like the mail chute. The shoot.
Yeah. Well, not even shoot. Not even shoot. More of a
I think
rope.
the thing you could do is you could use water to process it, cold water, and water is really cheap, and
not for long,
there's a
dude.
lot
Not for
of
long,
it.
dude. Not for long. Nestle's buying it all, I think, is what's going on. So once Nestle owns all the
Yeah.
water, then we got to pay a big $1 a gallon.
Which is why
it's coming up.
Why you use liquid nitrogen to replace the water.
Yeah, that's also not cheap though.
That's pretty cheap, dude.
Is
Oh
it?
yeah, oh yeah. Compared to how much you get for $75 for 30 liters, that can run a lot of material in the place of water.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it does anything more than, because the problem I found with dry ice back when that was a thing,
Dry ice is terrible.
it was like
It's terrible.
Like, it didn't taste good.
Yeah,
and
it beats the hell out of it.
It makes it all just like blood.
And there's some
like, you get a
different-
lot of it, but you don't get good.
A lot of it, but there's some different chemical composition I feel like between dry ice and liquid nitrogen.
We have another person here, just in case you think I'm talking to myself. By the way, Jorge's like, what? He's like, he's got a hand puppet and he's
you
talking
had
to
two
himself.
voices.
Yeah, I got this whole thing going on. Don't worry about it. You'll be part of it.
Hi, Jorge.
No, it's the kid. It's the
Hi.
kid. AKA extracted Colorado, so he's going to get real huffy about
Well,
hash.
I heard we were talking about hash making, so I had to come down from my upstairs
he
venture.
ran down the stairs. He made more noise than your painter guy did, actually.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Good,
so
good.
we have our own
Yeah.
noisy people around, so even he was one of them. So now he's here to Tell us all about nitrogen because it's awesome.
To talk about industrial hash making.
Liquid nitrogen is pretty awesome, though. Yeah.
No, I think that's definitely key. And I think
How long does it take, though, for liquid nitrogen to react with it?
So it depends. It depends on if you're using dry material or, like Adam said, like flash frozen, fresh material.
Flash frozen.
So after the flash frozen, after you do the liquid nitrogen process, I mean, nowadays everyone just has the freeze dryers. So, I mean, you could just pop it in the freeze dryer for 24 hours and you're ready to get it either refined through sift screens or pressed into rosin at that point.
Okay, that's a lot. You couldn't do really a lot of it at once.
Yo, you could. You absolutely could. I mean, the guys in California, the clear scientist, actually, he runs, man, they dump 550 milliliters of liquid nitrogen per batch. They're doing like 10,000 gram runs of fresh frozen material.
to 20 pounds.
Yeah, about
1,000 grams apiece.
They're individual, one big vat. It looks like a big brew tank, and they're able to drop in, 10,000 gram
they're
runs.
doing 10 kilos.
Absolutely,
10
yeah.
kilos.
In one run, and that takes about almost as long, if not a little bit shorter, than if you were processing it with water and ice. So to do that would probably take 2 hours, and then you just have to let it dry, and you're ready to go. So you could do a lot with liquid nitrogen in a quick time.
Yeah, but see, we're talking about harvesting a field, excuse me, that's got 100 acres. See, yeah.
That's huge.
You
would need a lot of liquid
nitrogen.
That's
industrial. See, that's a lot of liquid nitrogen. And
that's a significant.
The time and everything. So there's only, the parameters completely change because of the volume.
Right. You're not talking 10 pounds. You're talking 1,000-pound runs is what you're looking at. 2,000-pound runs, 5,000.
Yeah, thousands over a short period of time. See, that's the other thing. So that's why I thought water would be such a good deal. A water bath and send it through several separators.
Yeah, I think in that large scale too, I think you're going to probably want to work ultrasonically or something like that, where you're like, because that's the thing is everybody's thinking screens and stuff, but like screens are already slowing things down.
They clog up.
There's such a like that's like the nightmare part of the whole thing. So I think if you just think ultrasonically and then basically run it through the next, you can still do it through screens, but you just have to
it's like pressurized.
have it already to the point where it's not separating any larger material, because the large material just how it is, pulling those certain bags, you're like, fuck this part.
There's a company called Daily Extractions, and I don't know if it's California or Oregon, but they specialize in large scale closed loop water extraction like that. So they have these big tanks that you can do very, very large scale. They make them custom to size, but it is entirely closed loop, so you're not pulling bags. It uses pressure to, as the water drains, pushes the water through the different micron screens, which you're then able to pop out from their placement where they are put into the machine, and simply collect all the hash right out of there very quickly. And Daily Extractions does a pretty good job. But again, we're talking 100-pound run, not thousands of pounds.
100 pounds, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because how much pressure would it take? And
if you
could do it at a constant rate.
Right.
See, that's the thing with the water. You could really do it at a constant rate. Remember the washing machines? They were doing the washing machines. Well, start it in a washing machine and then run it through a series of sieves under a bit of pressure. And that'd probably do it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's got to have, everything's got to be heavy duty.
I mean, that's the thing is, as we all know, cannabis tears everything apart, no matter what it is. Like heavy duty or not, you're still like, fuck, this stuff is like, because every kind of resin is different too. Like some resins like real flaky, and some resins real just sticky as fuck,
right.
like,
There's a whole lot of
yeah. So it's in general. I mean, there hasn't really been, except for like recently. I'd say obviously Frenchie's machine is pretty damn impressive. Not cheap either, but impressive as hell. Like it's like, okay, now we're talking like properly built stuff for what we're trying to do. Everything should be stable.
I haven't seen Frenchie's machine.
Oh, you haven't seen it? No, it's like, well, it's definitely
I saw him over at Spanabiz. That's it.
Okay, well, it's definitely I forget the exact price, but it was definitely like, holy shit, that ain't cheap at all. And then on top of that, you're like,
is it a butane or?
No, it's It's like a water extraction.
Oh,
thing.
really?
Yeah, but it's very well. It's like it's professionally made and stainless and very overbuilt in a way. But it's kind of what you got to do though. That's the whole thing with cannabis. I think you got to
Right.
if you overbuild everything, you'll probably be right around the right range, especially if you want to use that thing for a long time.
Well, yeah, because you're gonna thump on it pretty hard.
Sure, and I think it's also interesting to see that the water hash, like you were saying, that would be probably the most stable for long-term sort of production. And in a way, it's true. And I think if everybody would get off not that butane's bad, because I think it's great for pulling out the right certain terps and stuff, but if everybody just get off the idea that everything has to be that particular, whatever the texture that they like, whether it be crumble or now if it's all soupy, or if it's because that's the problem. You want terps, you're going to lose some structure. You know what I mean? If you want structure, you're going to lose. It kind of all comes hand in hand. It's like people who I want really strong weed, but I don't want it to smell strong. You're like, okay, that's hard.
right.
Because
Come on,
it's kind of like,
break.
you know what I mean? And I don't want it to be too sticky. You're like, okay, it's like
Right.
part of the deal too. So in a way, you have to work with what the plant already does on its own, which is, that's the beauty of this whole thing. Is in the end, it's really like we do stuff, but the plant does all the real magic.
Yeah, so true.
But in the beginning, when you were doing these books and stuff, did you ever think that it was going to become like legit, or did you kind of feel like you were just going to be like a pirate for the rest of your life, underground guy?
For the first 5 years, I was really naive, and I thought, oh yeah, this is going to be totally legal in 5 years. And then the next 30 years came, and it was, it was pretty tough. Well, you moved to Amsterdam to.
Yeah, well, I sidestepped
have some freedom.
I sidestepped everything when I was young, so I was I got there when I was 19, I left when I was 42 or so, 41, 42, so I was like, all right, it's time to get out of here, now I'm in my 40s, I can go home as an adult and get taken seriously, because I always felt like I was never going to get taken seriously, and the thing is, if I had like 2 or 3 weed fucking things on my record, I'd have been fucked. That would have been the end of it. So I was like, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here while the getting's good, And I got to Holland, and I was like, this is a good spot. I like this. This has potential, and then stayed there for 21 years.
Yeah, because otherwise you just would be in jail. I know the feeling. That's what happened to me. That's why I left. It's like, guys like me just don't live with this system too well.
No, and the thing is, it was also like it was pretty easy to leave when I left because it was like. Bush and see Bush Senior, you know what I mean. So it was like, all right, I'm out of here.
Right.
This place is evil, like terrible, So all of a sudden, it was all coming out. You know what I mean? The vibe was switching and turning into the like, oh, this is an easy place to get the hell out of. And then when I came back, I kind of felt like everything was like turning in the other direction, where it was like, wow, Europe's going bad and America's turning into a cool place to be. But then.
Then the elections happened.
Exactly, and then all of a sudden America shows its true colors, and all of a sudden we're like, okay, this is what I kind of remembered, except even more extreme. And so now, everyone's looking out to the rest of the world, thinking there might be a safe haven somewhere else. But the problem with that, I feel, is that it's only safe for you if you're there now. You know what I mean? If you come there as a last-minute ditch effort kind of guy, you might pull it off, but for the most part, you're kind of going against the grain everywhere, because that's where
they stop you at the border.
Yeah, and locals. I mean, I was lucky enough to come here right before 2009, so it was like right before it all happened, and then now that it's all happened, you see it all fizzling. You know what I mean? Kind of. Okay, everyone's ready to go somewhere else, because it's like. It's not the cool place to be anymore. It was between 2009, 2012. This was the place. You know what I mean? So they experienced
exactly
that Amsterdam thing that Amsterdam had for 20 plus years, and now it's lost its thing. You know what I mean? And now Barcelona's the cool thing. So
I'll tell you, I've been in Barcelona. Well, I'm there a half time now, but I've been there for 20 years, and my God, it's great.
Yeah,
it really has, and it seems like just the last couple of years that the tourists have discovered it.
Right. It's always been. It's always been relaxed as far as it's been a hash smoking culture. It's right across from Morocco, obviously, and they're pretty cool people. Like to party, like to go late. which is
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Everything
No, it's a
fits
great
our
place to
everything
live.
fits our lifestyle. We're like, yeah, you guys like to eat at midnight.
It really does. It's got a good international airport there, and it's on the beaten path. Everybody wants to come there because it's such a great city. 2,000 years old, and lots of stuff to do all the time. Yeah, it's a great place. I'm back at the water fountain.
So, oh yeah, good. Got to keep hydrated. Speaking of hydrated and waterborne and weirdness, we got somebody on the chat who was wondering about the. Now, is he talking about the Midwest or no? Is there a place? No, just the mildew. Like basically, what do you want us to explain? Mildew, powdery mildew, or something else? Or
They're saying something about the mildew shower.
mildew shower.
Mildew shower. I don't know exactly what they're talking about.
Do you know anything about that, Jorge?
Mildew shower?
Yeah.
Well, mildew, powdery mildew is all over the place. And if they've got powdery mildew, they should get rid of it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to get rid of it real simply. And two, I did several videos on. I've done videos on powdery mildew. But one of the best ways to get rid of powdery mildew is just to use baking soda, because you want to change the pH of the leaf surface.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, just raise it. Baking soda will raise the pH to 7, and the mildew can't live in that environment.
Sure.
It has to have an acid environment. And then there's several different organic sprays that you can put on to guard against it. That's what I always do. And my favorite stuff, I always get this, or make it myself, activated aerated compost tea. But if it's indoors, you should just buy a product. And what was I using? Serenade. Serenade, I think, is a good one. You've got to put it on every week or two. But yeah, that's and then afterwards, you can also take your harvested buds and put them in a 5% solution of
Peroxide.
Hydrogen peroxide, and wash everything off. That'll wash off all the adulterants, everything, and that's a real good deal too. So you can always get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, and like you said earlier, it is. I think the best way to do it is to fucking kill the plants and give up on those particular plants and move on to something new, if you can. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Because it's like one of those things where to battle it, you can beat it for sure, but it's very much like opportunistic or something, or kind of like a herpes thing where it just comes out.
If you've got it, I mean,
you'd be like, I got it again. Like it can't, but it doesn't come out except for those 2 times a year. When it's flares up.
Okay, well, there's a couple of things about it. One is you want to get it before it enters the system of the plant. And you can see it. You can go around with a black light flashlight, a UVB flashlight, and look for it. And you see it, and it turns iridescent when it's laying on the leaf. Yeah, and you can do that daily if you've got a little indoor room. And also, too, I know people that take a UVC light and they run that over their plants every 2 days.
Right.
And that'll kill all the fungus, all the what do you call those little spider mites and everything. Yeah. But you got to be careful when you apply that. But just read about it, but it works great.
Yeah, it's amazing too with those kind of things too, because you don't really have to blast them with it at all. You just have to kind of like you said, run it over like whoop, and then it's like that seems a little too magical right there. It's like definitely.
No, it fries them.
Yeah.
It fries them kind of. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, in fact, I did some. One of the videos I had that on too. Oh, there's a siren going by. There's. I did a video on that over in Austria. That's what those guys were doing at their clone factory.
Right. Yeah. Well, the clones especially places like that, you really want to keep an eye on things. because the
Yeah.
last thing you want to do is buy clones and get hit with powdery mildew. Because I've seen it a million times where you be looking at a place that's selling clones and you're looking at them and you're like, wait a minute, I can see it like developing in front of my eyes. You know what I mean? It's like, really?
Once you can see it, there's two different times you can see it. Once is right when it lands, right when the mildew lands on the leaf and it starts to grow and before it penetrates the leaf.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other time is after it's just too late.
Right.
If you can see it and it's all over the plant. It's already in the system. You can't do anything with that plant to get it out of the system.
Mm-hmm.
You can only kill it on the outside. And that's why when you say throw the plant away, I mean that's not such a bad idea.
Well, yeah, I mean,
no, it depends on how big it is and all that stuff. But
sure.
You can't get rid of it out of that plant ever.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like if it's in your mom's and you're making clones and you're kind of like, you're really, you could take those clones and treat those clones really harshly and put them through like, chemo, basically hell and back, and they might power through it all. But at the end of the day, a lot of times those plants kind of like always get damaged a little bit. Like whatever even if you go 10 generations away, they might look good and everything, but they do kind of like have some memory of that like time you abused the fuck out of them, because you have to like hit them every day 3 times.
You're right. Get rid of them. They're sick. Just get them the heck out of there.
Yeah, and I mean the cool part is that
that's usually what I do. If there's any sick ones, I just get rid of them. Yeah, that's why I always have more plants.
Yeah, and that's the part where I guess whenever you're asked and whenever we're in a situation where we can actually help guide the powers that be with their rulings towards growing, I think one of the things that it gets left out a lot of times, and I feel like it should be always talked about, is the fact that not everything is about flowering plants. A lot of times it's about holding genetics, and if you're a breeder or you're a real grower, you don't want to always grow the same thing all the time, so you may need 20 plants just to have endless combinations of plants. You know what I mean? And 5 of those could be females or more. But they don't ever think like that. They think we want to flower everything we grow. And so it kind of messes up people's situation when they're saying like, yeah, you can grow 12 plants. And you're like, that's not really enough because I need to have 10 or 12 plants just as moms, you know what I mean? And then those 12 need to make vegging plants, which need to then go into flower, which all is like a multi-stage process. And so it's kind of hard. I think vegging plants need to be like not considered as much in the game until they're like in the actual flowering room.
Yeah, exactly. Because like that's what they do in Austria. Uh-huh. That's why they have the clone factory that's legal there, or a couple of them. You can grow thousands of plants as long as they don't flower. Yeah. It doesn't matter how many you have. But once they flower, they're illegal.
Yeah.
Totally illegal. But it's still, if we could just have flowering plants and no limit on the smaller ones, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, it's kind of the way it has to go in the long run.
It's really difficult.
Yeah, and not even for making clone factories, but even just running your own thing, it is hard to try to like start from scratch every single time. Like you can't do that. So you always have to, and you can't do seedlings every single time, and you could do clones every time, but then you can't have a mom around if you're gonna, so it's like kind of means you got to go buy them, which then opens you up to pests every single time, and so the best gardens I've ever been to have been self-sufficient for all their clones. Like they don't take in a single clone for years.
Yeah. See, I'd like to see seeds become a big deal here, where you could just go down and buy packets of seeds. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit more difficult to start seeds and everything, but it's a lot easier for one person to keep a selection. Mm-hmm. And then that'd be great. I mean, just like you do with vegetable seeds. By different ones. Mm-hmm. That would be the coolest of the cool. In fact, there's one company, let's see, what's their name? It's New something seeds. Anyway, it's the owner of Territorial Seeds in Oregon. Mm-hmm. Has started auto-flowering feminized seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a seed breeder. They have a multi-million-dollar business already selling seeds, mm-hmm. vegetable and flower seeds.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's great. Yeah. So they're really developing a bunch of stuff pretty darn fast. I was pretty amazed. Yeah, and he's got a onion breeder doing all the work for him. Harold.
So we're gonna have some oniony based plants, huh? That'll be interesting.
Well, I don't know.
The terps.
Maybe so.
That'll
but
be their
they've
terps.
got a catalog out. Got a catalog out with 5 different varieties already.
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, that's the interesting part is that Big Ag is definitely going to jump in on cannabis as much as they can. And that's they're not even Big Ag. They're probably some smaller size company. But in general, compared to what we're doing, they're Big Ag, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, but they're a smaller size company. But I've known him for a long time. And I said, well, how are you going to, grow? Because you got to grow in each state. Mm-hmm. And he said he was going to talk to big seed growers that are already in those states, like Northrop King or Peto seeds and stuff. And I thought, oh, wow, why don't you do it yourself? Because, that's the way we always do stuff, right?
Yeah.
We'd never look to a corporation. Mm-hmm. But this guy's looking at it differently, and he's looking at expanding that way.
And
that'd be quite
scary.
Interesting if those guys got into it.
Well, yeah. It doesn't sound like anybody would be really happy about that. It's going to be like really Northrop, like... What you mean, like now it's going to be because the problem is a lot of times in those situations you'll get huge yields, terrible weed. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh great, that's what.
Oh right.
So what's what the world really needs is like tonnage of shitty weed coming down. Like
I guess Northrop would be a bad example, but I think they're in the running though.
Well, I'm sure they're ready. I'm sure they're chomping at the bit to get there. They want to. I mean, it's still. Even when you compare it to anything out there, it's still worth more, even when we're getting less money than we ever thought we would get. You know what I mean? So it's like, really,
right.
They're like, what? You're only, we're like, we're getting $1,200 a pound. They'd be like $1,200 a pound, but they're also thinking along their tonnage of. They don't understand the difference between the good and the bad. And so if you have a ton of shitty whatevers, you're not going to sell one of them compared to a ton of awesome something else that might have cost you more money to produce, but at the end of the day, it's about getting it sold, and people getting paid.
Yeah, but say if you have 5 tons of something, then you make concentrate, and you sell it for a less price, and you still make like way more money. Because to these guys, $500, $1,200 a pound, or $500 a pound, or any of those numbers are off the charts. They're used to looking at, like $3.42 a pound,
right,
or something,
Right. Well, as we were speaking about seeds earlier, and you were talking about new companies, and we're talking about all this crazy stuff, we have the gene on the scene, James Bean, on the line, don't we? Do we?
Oh, okay. Who's this?
James Bean on the scene. Is he there?
James.
You know James Bean from Seeds Here Now?
Oh, no, I don't.
Well, we don't either because he's gone. Where the hell did he go? He disappeared. He was there. I told him to call in. I said, call in.
He was here. Now he's gone.
He's one of our main sponsors, and he's out of Oregon, so I bet he would be really curious to hear.
Oh, okay.
So I'd be like, who's this guy?
Oh, yeah.
But he represents like about 35 breeders right now, and they're all from America, which is cool. So it's like he's not really trying to take in anybody from Europe or any of the other people that are out there that are like moving from wherever, but he's just concentrating on good old American breeders. America.
Oh, right.
So anyway, he's a good guy to know. And
yeah. No, that's good. That's good. Glad to see
here he comes now.
More American breeders, really.
Yeah, and he reps all your buddies. All right, there he is. Gene on the scene.
Is he there?
Gene on the scene, Mr. Bean. Is that you? Mr. James Bean? No?
James Bean.
There he is. Muffled.
Hey, there he is.
Muffle Master.
All right.
The Muffle Master. Turn up your mic.
Here we are, man.
Turn up everything.
Turn up everything.
Turn it all up.
Turn up everything.
Is that Mike?
Turn it up. Oh, I can turn it up.
All right, there we go. There we go. Crank it up. All right, so is that Mike also with you?
I do not. So unfortunately,
oh.
don't want to go too much into detail, but Mike had a family emergency, so to say, where his father is under the weather and in the hospital. So
Okay.
he is
Wasn't
unable to answer the phone.
not a plane crash.
But-
That's good.
Not-
Not a plane crash. He just got a plane, so
No.
we're all worried about him.
His dad had some heart issues real quick, so we brought him in, and they're doing what they
Okay.
can do. So I told him just don't worry about today. We'll do this next week. But I do have something kind of maybe better, maybe just as good. I got a friend of ours on the phone.
Who's that? Mr. Wolfie? That we're called? No. Who's that?
Alaskan grower, Swamp Donkey Seeds, baby.
Oh, Brandon in the house. What's going on, bro? The swamp dog.
Nothing. We're just
The swamp
going
dog.
on a run. We're headed up north.
Uh,
Go pick up a vehicle.
you
You guys needed a guest.
No, but we got Jorge. We don't need a guest. We got Jorge Cervantes on here. We thought maybe you guys would want to hang out for a second and be like,
Yeah, well, that's nice they're here. Glad they could show up.
See, we already had a whole conversation. We actually had a whole
Yeah,
thing
hey
going
guys,
on.
how you doing?
We had a whole vibe and everything, but we'll let you hang out. It's okay. So, Mr.
Thanks for letting me in the club.
Oh, good. No problem.
Nothing more than checking in. I actually met Jorge for the first time in Alaska like 3 years ago.
See,
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's when I was up there. It was a great time. Yeah, I
that was
remember
when I
now.
won the first place.
Yeah. Outstanding. Cool. Well, good to hear from you guys again.
They're having another show coming up in like 2 weeks, so we're heading back to Alaska to do that same show again, just about.
It's going to be our first outdoor cannabis event, as a matter of fact.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're going to be outside instead of inside, so I'm hoping that'll be a little less oppressive.
Yeah, me too.
Me
too.
Where's it going to be?
Go either way up there.
Where's it going to be?
It's going to be in the Sullivan Arena, outdoor complex, I guess, in the parking lot. May 20th and 21st.
Oh, wow. So just around the corner. Next week, basically next weekend.
Yeah, basically.
So you could
Yeah,
look at a
yeah.
10-day forecast and pretty much tell if it's a complete fuck up or not, right? It'd be like, oh my god, what
Right.
am I doing? What's happening?
But
But
it's Alaska, so it can always change.
exactly. So Jorge, when you went up
Like
there,
Colorado
did you get to go check out gardens and stuff and go cruise around, or did you?
No, not really. I mean, we went. There was a trade show. There was some people that brought plants in.
Mhm.
But yeah, I was. I flew into the airport and then went downtown and stayed there and
It's got the
was
true
back out.
Sounds like you got the real
Yeah.
Alaska experience there. That sounds like a true Alaska, true Alaska experience.
But
From the
I
parking
did
lot
go
to the
visit
parking lot.
Visit a couple of people at their homes, and the big thing was if you had pictures of a bear in your front yard,
Yeah.
but it didn't count unless it was within the last week. Because everybody had pictures of bears in their front yard, but they just wanted to see them now.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a bear story
it's
too.
pretty
We've
amazing.
noticed everybody has a bear story, didn't we, James?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And there had to be like a bear in every hotel. It was like requisite for a hotel. If you had a hotel, you had like 4 bears under glass. So.
Yeah, the better the hotel, the better the bears. Or, you know what I mean? It'd be like a 4-bear rating at the hotel. Like,
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
We only have one, you know, and he's kind of dinky, so
Yeah.
you don't want to go there.
Motel 6 is only like a one bear operation, pretty much.
Yeah, one bear, you know, maybe a stuffed bear, you know, like a teddy bear, but, you know.
That's
It all
even below. That's below one at that point. So so right now you guys are off to which show you said? You guys are going? Oh,
Alaska. The cannabis in Alaska next week.
who's that? We have a new. Is this?
West Cannabis Classic
Oh,
Jorge dropped off.
is
Oh.
what they're calling
Jorge's
it.
back?
I believe it's the 3rd.
Jorge, you back? I don't know. Is he back? Is that him? Jorge. Oh, we're waiting for Wolf too. Wolf Master. He just like fell off the earth. He called earlier, and then he failed. Did we lose Jorge? Officially?
It shows that he's
Is it
connected.
Wolf that we went out to dinner with, Adam?
What's that? Wolf. Yeah. Wolf. Exactly. That guy. Exactly.
All right, he hung up again.
Okay, so we'll get Jorge back on. There he is. Connect him, but Adam, yes. Okay. Da-dun, da-dun. Did we get you back?
Yeah. I went to increase the sound and push the off button.
Oh my God! It's all it takes. It's all it takes is one wrong push, and
Technical
you're off the
difficulty.
show. So that trip up to Alaska was that a CannaCon show or that was a different one?
It's a Northwest Cannabis Classic.
Oh, Northwest Cannabis Classic.
Yeah.
Was that their first one, or they had a bunch of them already, or what was the deal with that?
It'll be the third annual.
Okay.
This is their third show. Their very first show, they brought up the Three Amigos.
There you go. So they brought the big guns right out of the gate.
Yeah, it was. There was a lot of people that came. It was really quite a big deal. It's a big event,
That's awesome.
and people were really excited. I mean, because Alaska's off the beaten path. It really is.
Oh yeah.
And yeah.
They're passing around the
Yeah,
same
so that
strain.
was a good deal. But a lot of excited tokers up there.
For sure, and it was
for knowledge, definitely.
and there was a lot of like literally for what you're even doing you're for PTSD. There's a lot of guys up there that were like literally like Vietnam vets, went up there to get away from America but be still in America technically, and locked themselves away with their Laotian strains that they were doing, and somehow managed to wrangle them down and get them into something. And then there was all this MTF and other things like that coming out of there that were all well known. And so there was a lot of like, there's always been like, I think actually the first place that sort of like got into my brain that people were growing weed in weird places. You know what I mean? Like, they're growing weed in Alaska, but not thinking that Alaska is so fucking big that there's some areas that are actually pretty damn nice. But yeah. They've always had that history. I think they've been like one of the, like Colorado too.
Unique.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unique. They really value freedom,
Right.
and that's what. And that's what sets them apart. And there's not that many people up there. There's like 500,000 people, and that's it. Half of them live in Anchorage, and everybody else lives way the heck out in other places.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is, it's kind of like if you're gonna tough it out in some extreme conditions, then letting them have some cannabis is definitely not going to hurt anybody. It's going to help them out, and it's also going to, a lot of those people get literally homebound, but not because they're sick, but just because they're fucking in extreme conditions, and they're like, well, we're stuck in this house for X amount of time. So
yeah, but
you're not going to.
Growing up there was real interesting too, because some places electricity is generated with like diesel oil.
Yeah.
So it's a kilowatt hour is 50 cents. 50 cents a kilowatt hour. And then other places it's less, but everything's expensive there. All of the pot's real expensive. It's expensive to grow it there. It's a unique climate, unique everything. It's pretty cool.
And that is the thing, is everybody gets used to that too. Obviously, because it's like if you're super isolated, you have to pay. There's no way around it. You know what I mean? Now, of course, I'm sure Amazon's opened up the door for a lot of people up there. Like, holy shit, I can order stuff now. This is great. Because before it was like, what? Everything. And because with Hoodlum, if I send stuff to there, it's fucking expensive just getting it there. Because they know that the pipeline is gets shut down. You know what I mean? So they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And
it costs a fortune to send things there.
Yeah.
We kept thinking that we needed a container load of cannabis every week. You could move that really easy. But that's not a good idea.
What a thinker you are. What a thinker. You think so much.
Jeez,
George,
yeah. What a unique business that would be.
So did you get a chance to you get a chance to smoke
like
any
they're growing.
Did you get a chance to smoke any of the Matanuska?
Yeah, they had really good cannabis up there. Everything I had was quite good, yeah. Yeah, but I was only there for, 3 days? 3 days during the time. And it was really weird because it was in the springtime. And it didn't get dark till 11 o'clock at night. It was incredible.
Yeah,
got a lot
11 o'clock at night. Yeah. That was a hard one to fathom, but it was still
I went
cool.
up there. I was completely anti-autoflower, if you will. I just wanted to stay regular strains. I wasn't doing stems at the time. I wasn't big on autoflowers. I looked at autoflowers as like, you always got to go back to the man. You always got to buy more from him. They'll never be sustainable. But when I got to Alaska and started talking with people, they were like, we don't have a choice. It's not that we don't want to flip, or it's not that we don't know how to do depth like that. It's that we don't. If we want to grow something outside in the summer, we only have this limited amount of time to do it. And so for me,
that's right.
Like these people need root around, whether I like it or not. They need that part of the plant in order to get across the plant.
No, that's true. That's true. In fact, did you know Alaska has more fungi, more mushrooms than any other place in North America? And that's because they've got so much permafrost that that's what breaks everything down, or the mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that's quite telling right there, man. I mean, it's just a cold place. And it's a real short climate. Like you say, it's a real short climate. 90 days, and you've got to have plastic. And, oh, gosh, the wind comes in with the rain. It can be really tough.
Yeah, we had 3 weeks of rain and clouds for my first greenhouse grow here. So that was an interesting challenge. All of August, right when they were finishing out about week 5 to week 7, bam, there went the sun. That was horrible. But I made it. Extra heat and lots of dehumidification processes that I was able to overcome it. But it was a sharp learning curve trying to figure out how to do a greenhouse in these cold temps.
Well, you got to be able to have a snow load on it and everything. 'Cause the snow and the wind are the two biggest things you have with those greenhouses up there.
I had to scrape it off, and then once I got the snow off of the roof, then I'd have to take the snow blower and blow the snow away from off of the roof. It was freaking miserable. It
wouldn't be a proper grow if it wasn't miserable in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's getting up early or shoveling snow for some time, you shouldn't definitely not be shoveling snow. I mean, a couple weeks.
I'll tell you though, they've got some pretty sweet greenhouses. One of my friends is he's made several of them. Greenhouse that's 12 feet wide, PVC pipe, Schedule 40, 3/4 inch, 12 feet wide and 60 feet long, and then he takes one of those golden arms, and attaches dark plastic to it, and he can control the entire greenhouse. He can darken it out and everything, and run the entire greenhouse. It's super efficient. Once he gets it planted, that's it. He just lets things grow and pays attention and darkens it out when he needs to. And one guy he's got, 7 or 8 of those things now. I don't know.
Well, and that's, that's the whole thing is it's just being on point with, the whole thing with light depth stuff is, you want to create a way to make it not so labor intensive. And if you get some, if you have some assistance in some way, shape, or form, or you design it so that you can do it with one person's ideal, obviously, if you can do it with 2 max. But if it gets any more complicated than that, it's not really possible to pull it off, because it's all about timing and being on time every time.
I went with
I've seen a lot of my Northern California guys actually start stocking up on Mephisto. He's like, if I can just do feminized autos and not have to flip tarps, I'm down. And so I've heard, probably a good 10, 20 different growers that have just switched over to those feminized autos to get double crops in Cali.
So obviously I'm looking up Golden Arm immediately. So like it. All right. And I'm like, oh, this looks good. Got to get one of those.
Oh, yeah. Golden Arms, they rule.
Yeah.
You can make them yourself. They're not that hard to make.
Sure.
Or you can buy them. But they rule. They're limited as far as, how big you could use, wide you can use them. But see, for one guy to do 60 feet, he crosses it over on one end and then walks to the other end and does that end. And when he does that, it's the right amount of space and width, so the entire tarp falls over. You know, so if nothing's hung up, they don't have to have a rope or anything.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Especially, you know, depending on your night and time, and when you're like if it's weather conditions and things like that, you want to keep it as simple as possible, because it's like one of those things where, you know, you're trying to explain to somebody how to untie a certain thing, like, just pull it around the thing, and it's all windy and horrible, and you're like, oh my god, we're gonna lose this thing right now. So it's a little bit
horizontal rain coming in.
Exactly, it's a little bit like sailing, because it's like
easy.
Yeah,
it's a little bit easy as possible. You want it as easy as possible.
Right, but yeah, sometimes it's comparable to sailing, where you're just like, you just want to stay where you are and not deal with it, but you know you got to get up and go fucking out there and deal with it, because it's all about the timing, you know. And so you're like, fuck, get out there and just like, and I've, you know, that's
why.
Yeah, go ahead.
I went automated on the timer with the automated arms, so I didn't have to do that every morning thing, you know, totally predictable.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. My biggest problem was the atmospheric controls, though. I mean, it was always a fight with humidity or regulating the temperature to keep it under 80 or under 90, and you know, just a constant battle. Or it would get too cold at night, you know, dropping down into the 40s and the 30s. Yeah, and then the entire top of the greenhouse would condensate with the cold air on the top. So that was single layer, though. I think double layer is going to be my key, or polycarbonate would be the way to go.
Double layer makes a huge difference, because you've got that insulating space in there, and it really buffers the temperature. It won't get so cold at night.
Yeah.
Or hot during the day. Both of them are really big.
Oh,
yeah, double.
I was concerned that it was going to make it get even hotter with the insulated layer, but that's good to know.
No, that's what that one layer is. It cuts light.
I was going to say, you're going to lose a little bit of light. That's the only. This your one issue. You're definitely going to lose probably about 8 or 9%, probably, or something like that.
Yeah.
Depends on the quality of your plastic. But the other good thing too is that the inside one, as long as you have those layers pretty well sealed, should stay pretty damn clean. And I know the outside one obviously would have to be, you know, the one would take the most abuse and have to probably get changed before the inside one would. But yeah, the combination of just the smallest amount of air layer is huge, because that's like the best insulation you can probably do.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And I mean, in extreme conditions like that too, it's also sometimes it's a good idea to change your outside shell even halfway through the season if it's designed properly. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal, just because, like, you can, you know, you're going to lose X amount, and if you just, like, as you flip it over, you know, maybe halfway through the crop or even every crop, whatever, as long as you kind of just like keep it updated like that, it's way easier to do it with. If you have double layer, you can kind of lower the quality of the thing, knowing that you're going to come down, coming down after the crop anyway. You know.
Yeah. Always get decent plastic though. It'll last.
Yeah. Oh yeah, decent, of course.
If you can keep it up. It's really amazing how simple and inexpensive the greenhouse technology is now. There's all kinds. There's what do they call them? They're like easy clips to
for the tarps.
And you get special to mount the plastic. Those work really well. But there's some just inexpensive things you can do that, man, you can raise the temperature 10 to 15 degrees or 10 to even 20 degrees and keep it buffered too. But the dual layer is it works real well.
For sure. So, James, you got any crazy specials? Because I didn't play your song yet either. I'm playing it as the outro, by the way, just so you know.
Oh, nice. It's a good track. We've got all kinds of crazy specials going right now. So I believe it's 25% off everything on the entire site if you pay through cash or money order. So
If you pay with a money order? Or cash, you said. Cash or money order. Okay, got you.
Yep. And then we've got a 15% off. It's, we got our we've been a Target here and there, but we got our credit card processing back up and running, and so 15% off anything off the whole site using Visa or MasterCard, but the big one's 25% off using cash or money order or whatnot.
Gotcha.
We just got the Brothers Grimm, the new Brothers Grimm fin stock drops, the Cindy and the Apollo feminized, which are I've been flying. The B99, the Queen of Soul, another one that he did. Of course, Brandon's got his all his strains he's got running. Sled Dogs are moving really big for us. We got June 2nd and 3rd will be at NorCal for High Times their cup. Unfortunately. I mean, I'm being honest. I don't really those guys, but it's there. So, and then there's also a show in Reno that same weekend. So I'll probably do the Reno show.
Wow, that sounds like another one of those Reno show.
Pretty much. Well, it's Nevada. I'm terrified of Nevada. I don't believe them. I don't believe that they're going to go from zero tolerance to welcome. We take everybody's cards. I think they're going to let go.
Really? I didn't even know there was a show there in Reno. I went to one in Las Vegas that was incredible. It was the business show, marijuana business show.
Yeah, that was one of those shows that you were like amazed, where you were like, wow, it really was pretty good. Because I went the first year, it was only like maybe 150 people the first year. It was something crazy. It was like, oh, this is a failure, you know what I mean? But everybody was like...
Oh, this one had over 10,000.
I know, it was nuts.
It was amazing.
It definitely. And they've just grown exponentially. So it's great.
It's all like the Gavita after parties and the big suites and stuff, right?
Yeah, of course, the big Gavita after party. Yeah, that's at the one that has the pool sticking out of the building, of course. That's the one. You got to rent those rooms. But so you guys are gonna go ahead.
Other than that, the big seller this week, of course, is Exotic with his new Triple OG line. The Cocoa Puffs, the Purple Lamborghini, 17 different lines he's got coming out. It's phenomenal. They've all been flying. So Trilogy, he busted out his old Triple OG line. So.
Sounds pretty cool.
About that. For everybody that on the Buck Russell auction, FYI, the pack of cubes that got donated by myself that went for $850. So
awesome.
Thank you everybody for bidding on that.
That's awesome.
I will cut that check for $850 to whoever I needs to do, and we'll put that right in. So thank you everybody for supporting that and bidding on that. That was really cool.
That's cool. That's great to hear about Buck Russell's auction house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's good.
I just want to touch in and say, hey, nothing really big and nothing. I definitely want to take up yours in Jorge's time. I haven't seen him on the circuit as much recently with the Three Amigos, but his media team is doing phenomenal things. I see him everywhere on the internet. So he's Mr. Cervantes must be very, very busy.
That's right. Well, cool. So. We will be seeing the Seeds Here Now crew. I guess when will I be? When will I meet up with you guys? I don't even know where we're gonna be. Anywhere good?
Oh, yeah, it's looking like.
Boston. What about that Boston? What about that Boston CanaCon? You doing that thing?
Yes, sir. So I haven't told you yet, but it's looking like Boston CanaCon.
There you go. Oh, how about that? I kind of thought I heard about it.
Like Anchorage and Fairbanks before that as well. But,
right.
Yeah, so that's Boston. It's going to be you, Ethos, Melvin X is going to come out, a bunch of the East Coast guys. I'm trying to get Greg Kimdog to come out, but no chance in hell. So,
right.
We'll try.
That would be awesome if you could get Greg. I mean, we wouldn't have to go very far, but tell him you buy him a ticket anywhere else after the show. He can go anywhere else he wants to go, because it won't be very exciting.
I know that he's been offered. He's been offered a trust amount of money just to sit there and sign shirts. So hopefully we'll talk him into it. We'll see if he comes out.
Gotcha. All right. Well, cool. Nice having you on once again, and we'll get the update, and then Brandon will do another. We'll do a proper show with you.
What was that?
We'll do a proper show with you soon.
Cool deal.
give us a quick like shout out of any websites they want to look, or Facebook or Twitter swags or whatever, whatever you got.
Seats Here Now is my big shout out. Go check them out. And right now I'm just looking forward to High Times Cannabis Cup there in NorCal. We're gonna be the first out of state booth for Swamp Donkey Seeds. So come see us. Got some deals on seeds, some new stuff, and some awesome freebies. So
are you going to that? Jorge? Are you going to go to that show?
On the show.
I'm going to go to the NCIA show in Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to go to the one down in Southern California. I've been several years, actually.
Yeah.
It used to be in Riverside. This year it's going to be up on the hill a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Vernonia?
Right.
Or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, but it's always a real good show.
Yeah.
It's always a real good show. Lots of concentrates. All the kids do concentrates
All
there.
those kids. Well, it all comes from flowers, as we know. So we know it doesn't matter even if the people want to believe it or not. It's still coming out of our flowers. And then there will be, possibly some yeast extracted THC in the near future or something like that. We'll be like, whoa, bro, this is made with non-cannabis. I can't imagine it's going to taste any better than than real properly grown. Since we, anything else has been stripped off of anything else, it usually doesn't taste as good as full, bubble hash made with it or full flour made with it or whatever. It's like.
Oh yeah. No, it's so true. So lets you. It's like good food,
Mm-hmm.
Good food is good food, and it's hard to write good food.
Well, yeah, and you can't
oh man,
take extractions of food and turn it back into
get out
bad.
of your hair and let you guys finish.
Okay, nice one, man. We'll talk soon. All right, awesome. Peace out.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Appreciate it.
All right, awesome. Take care, guys. Gene
man,
the gene on the scene. The gene on the scene.
I got to get moving here too. I got another engagement to go to.
Well, you're here for another 3 more hours, dude. We're doing 6-hour shows now. I decided now that you got you on the line. No, it's good. I'm glad you could actually stay.
Jerry Lewis for the marathon.
Right. I'm glad you could stay on as long as you can. And I'm sure we could talk for. I said I'm glad we got you as long as we did. And I know we could talk for another 3 hours, no problem. But no problem. I was gonna keep my eyes out for you at the next couple shows I'm at. We'll see what we do. Hopefully we'll link up. I'm sure we're gonna link up soon. If you get any time, something you really want to get out into the mass media, like Adam Dunn show, it's so mass. No, like just if you want to get it to some select few people that are actually on the scene and really know what the fuck they're talking about, or at least want to know what they're talking about, then definitely get you on the show again soon. And
okay.
And maybe we'll try to get the whole Three Amigo crew. If you guys are all together one time, we'll try to get you we'll make that into a.
Oh yeah, Lowenfels and Alexander. That would be fun.
Because I've had Alexander, I haven't had Lowenfels on yet, but we could definitely get.
Oh, Jeff's great. I think
I may have had Jeff on way back in the beginning too. So I have to go look back on my deal. I may have had you all separately. I believe we have, but you know how these interviews go. So, you got any kind of one sort of central website that you use, or link to the website?
Yeah, marijuanagrowing.com.
Okay.
Marijuanagrowing.com. That's my site.
Cool.
And then my last book, I haven't even mentioned that. That's
talk about that. Talk about that while you're on here for the last 5 seconds.
Yeah, cannabis encyclopedia.
Oh,
and that's done real well. It's 596 pages, 8.5 by 11 pages. Weighs almost 2 kilos.
2 kilos of info.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, it's honking huge.
As long as it goes by kilos.
Over 2,000 photos in it, full color.
Right.
And it's really well done. Yeah, it's got everything about growing.
That's awesome.
Well researched. And well edited. Yeah, all the information guaranteed correct.
Right.
Which is a pretty big thing to say. Yeah. So that's what I've got going there.
That's awesome. And then is there an online version of it at all, or is it strictly?
No.
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 There you go.
No,
Keep
there
it
is
up.
for marijuana horticulture, which continues, the Bible, everybody calls it,
Mm-hmm.
is it continues to be the number one selling book. I can't believe it. That book,
Yeah.
it's still number one.
Still number one.
After
Do you
all
have
these
a lot
years.
of those number one foam things you run around the house every year going, number one, again, in your face? Do you do that? You get me in your face every time?
No, not really. It's just, I mean, it's been that way for so
I don't know what
long.
happened to Wolf. I don't know what happened to
Expected.
Wolf. Wolf was gonna jump on.
Yeah, he
And-
had a family crisis.
Wolf
I
had a
believe.
family. Wolf did too. Oh, wait.
Yeah, his
okay.
father was sick. Is
Oh,
what
is that what it was? Oh,
what I
okay. I
picked
didn't
up,
realize
yeah.
it was Wolf. I thought it was. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I got you. So in general, I'll try to get him and you on maybe the next time together because he had some
Okay.
classic old stories.
Yeah.
He wanted to pull up, and that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
We'll do it. We'll
Sure, yeah.
get
he's
you
a
on
great
soon.
guy.
We'll get you back on soon, and then we'll like I said, we'll keep an eye out for you, and we'll just hopefully. I'll try to get it. I have to get. I guess an encyclopedia now, so maybe I'll even go order one. How's that? Just to contribute.
Oh,
to
cool. The big thing is to make a review on Amazon.
Uh-huh.
Reviews really help. I forgot to mention that. Yeah,
Okay.
reviews are cool.
We like reviews. All right, I will.
Yeah. Definitely the thing to do.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, we'll talk
Okay,
soon.
Cool.
We'll talk soon.
Okay. Hey, thanks so much, and nice to be on your program. Thanks for having me.
Anytime there, Jorge. Thank you for coming.
Okay, for sure. Bye-bye, Adam.
Peace. It was nice to talk to Jorge again. We were talking earlier about Barcelona, and he was there all the time. And one of the things, I do have a guy who, in classic Barcelona fashion, we can't ever seem to make a fucking link work out because of the time difference and everything.
Oh, yeah.
It's about 8 hours later there. And I keep trying to get him to come on the front of the show, and then somehow can't get to him. But he's got a dispensary over, not a dispensary, I guess they call them clubs. He's got a club over there called The Plug, and it's apparently one of the best ones, and they won a bunch of cups and are very conscious of extracts and have a really dope environment and stuff. So anyway, they were talking about sponsoring the show.
Interesting.
Which would be cool. And then they were talking about if we wanted to do an Adam Dunn Show Invitational in Barcelona.
Well, absolutely.
Which we wanted to do before, but now I was like, okay, well, now that the Spanibus has already just happened, we have a whole year to kind of plan it. So it would probably be obviously close to Spanibus so that people are already there from everywhere. It gives people a reason to go there. On another note, we're still, I know we've been saying this, and we can't really announce if ADSE's happening because we're literally trying to make it work because of the whole everybody trying to go legal and make it work, and because of the people traveling from everywhere to come to our event, and that being in the description makes them all scared. So as always, we're always like bad boys of the bad boy industry. Like, how are we the ones who are so now it's like been offered to me, can we do it as a California only event, which was like, yes, we could, because obviously everybody's from California. That's how I worded it back to her. I was like, that's easy, right? Everybody is from California. Even the people from Massachusetts are from California, because that's pretty much, when you're in California, now you are from California. Right? So you're like, now I am from. Here I am from. But if they get all up our ass about IDs and medicals, and the thing is, Cali doesn't need medical anymore, so that's good. But if they tell us they need like some stupid bullshit like that, it would be kind of weird. I don't know. Anyway, I'm keeping everybody updated. I hope by next week we'll be able to announce officially, yes, it's happening, and yes, this is what we can do. You have just enough time. If you put a fucking plant in the ground today, you'll make it barely. But but the idea is, hopefully you're already doing it, and it's something you do, and it's not a one-off, because that sucks too. The minute you grow something and it's awesome, but you don't have any real idea of it, and then all of a sudden you grow it 3 or 4 more times, and it's not really what it was, and it's a hermaphrodite.
Right.
You down the tubes. Better to grow something that you've grown 1,000 times, and you're like, this is rock solid.
Right.
Then you have some long-lasting thing. We definitely forgot to talk about Incredibles, edibles, and
Boom.
extracts last time. They were they the only ones we forgot about? Or
Yeah, it's the only ones that we forgot about.
Oh, okay. So we'll do them, and we'll do a little quick other shout out to everybody too on the way out. But these guys are setting the bar right now for extracts and for edibles, mostly for edibles. Well, I wouldn't say mostly, but mostly known for edibles, let's say.
Right.
Extracts that go into those edibles, though, are super consistent and super fire. That's why they are able to produce great products for other shops and of their own line, which is the black label. The gold label would be from the shop that you are standing in at that particular moment, their own product. And if they have pens on the shelf, it could be both, either black or gold label. And
those are tasty.
Super fire taster, and they're just made really well. And so if they, if you have a chance and you're going to be cruising around and want to be smoking out of a pen, then, or that's your thing. Then
they got the fruit
pick
juice.
this up. New fruit juice and
sour gummies.
Sour gummies. So they're kind of expanding their line a little bit, but they've also got a huge line of great chocolates, which, like I said, consistent as hell. They have the 500 milligram bars, they have 100 milligram bars, everything in between, and all smartly labeled with a little number on each piece. So even after it's been broken off the main piece, you can kind of still see what it is. And now they're also doing a CBD syringe deal for patients that are really looking for sort of ready to go activated oils to help out their situation. And it seems like they have about 6 in each pack or something like that. Was that?
I don't know what I think it's just one syringe.
Oh, it's one syringe. Sorry.
Yeah,
they're just showing it off.
I think they're just showing a bunch.
Oh,
of
they're showing it off, making
yeah.
everybody get excited.
Yeah.
Check out all these syringes.
I could be wrong. I don't know, but I would like to know more about that because that actually interests me.
Well, I think that came out just after our show that was released. They should have talked about. Did they talk about it?
No, I don't think they did.
Oh man,
I don't think
they
they did.
lost that chance. Max, why was Max not on more on it? Either way, we'll get a chance. We'll have to ask Max and Derek and everybody to find out what the deal is, and we'll report about it on the next show. But also want to thank everybody else like New Millennium at New Millennium Nutrients.com. Also,
Seeds Here Now.
Seeds Here Now, who we just talked to. See, now the funny part is that he's always complaining about our shit sounding bad, and now our shit sounds like a fucking perfect. His shit sound crumbly.
Yeah, his mic was pretty.
It was like he was
there.
crumble.
I was
rumble.
riding the fader here.
And we were actually up and down and trying to make it sound good. James, I think he always tries to do it off of one of these deals, and it's like not a good idea.
Oh,
like,
sure, I got you.
You gotta get it, or it has. I don't know what he's got. He's got something stupid, or a gaming set thing is what it is.
Oh, yeah.
And those are terrible.
Yeah, it just matters.
I mean, yeah,
some of them are good, but
I'm sure you can get good ones, but it just I don't know something about it. But you could just grind them all up and turn them into grow stones if they were made out of glass, but they're not, so you probably won't. But you could grind up bottles, and you could just not. You could just drink bottles knowing that they're going to be possibly ground up and turned into grow stones. It'd be great if you had like a choice, because then we'd see who, like, if Grow Stone had like their own like recycling bins everywhere, where you're like, please help us make grow stuff. I would just go. I would drive like 5 miles out of the way and dump all my bottles.
Yeah, man, I'd do that.
They
too.
would have been killing it back in the day when I was a complete raging alcoholic. But now that I'm all just Mr. Water guy, I don't really. It's kind of funny. There's like I don't even think about emptying the glass thing, but before it'd be like daily chore, just like
right.
And you'd hear it all go out, and you'd be like, "Oh my God, am I contributing to the Grow Stone phenomenon?
Right.
Look at me and my 18 different kinds of IPAs." But go to growstone.com if you want to see if they're around, and then Zone near you, super great thing to add to your soil instead of perlite. Also great to hit the bottom of your pots to aerate it a little bit, which most people don't even think about until it's too late. And
build a soil.
You can go to build a soil and get the rest of the stuff to make everything else inside the pot work. You don't have to grow pure cocoa. I'm a little bit of a skeptic on it. You can do it; it works. But I think plants like to have all these other great amendments, and I'm all about organic soil if possible in any situation. It's not always possible on large grows because of you have to have 10 different people or more trying to monitor one thing, it's kind of hard. But if you are growing for yourself, I would suggest nothing other than growing 100% organically, and by doing that, going to build a soil and picking up all the amendments and all the different things you may need to make that soil the best soil you could ever imagine.
Hell yeah.
Buildasoil.com and or 855-877-SOIL. Talk to them. Jeremy, hopefully he's on the line. I doubt it. He'll be busy as hell. He's got a bunch of people working there, which are all super knowledgeable also, and they can help you out. And that's it.
Should we play the song?
Oh, yeah, 100%. This is a song
All right, here we go.
from our buddies over at Seeds Here Now. And it's huge, bro. It's going to be a huge hit. I can tell a hit when I hear one.
All right, here it goes.
And while that's playing out, we're going to say goodbye to everybody. But don't play it out. Let's just say goodbye. And we'll play it out, and that'll be the end of the thing. And while we're playing out, we'll just do some dabs over here, and you guys can listen to the song instead of trying to get back on after that whole thing and then try to top it off, because it's impossible to top, because it's it's going to be a huge hit, bro. Especially on the West Coast. It's all West Coast. It's going to be people throwing signs up, gang signs everywhere, crazy shit.
Awesome.
And I'm wearing red, so I don't know if what the hell that means today, but shout out to my beautiful wife Cece and little Nick, who are off to Sweden next Tuesday. So this is my last time on the show that I'll be around with them for until 3 weeks. It's gonna be craziness, parties raging every day. Papa's gonna go nuts. No,
parties and fires.
It's actually gonna be lots and lots and lots of work out at the garden and the farm, because that's the shit that is always calling my name. So hopefully calling yours too. Get out there, plant some fucking literal trees and literal trees. Shout out to Ace down at the farm, Andy killing it, making things just pop off. Tanner also stopped by. Shout out to everybody else. Shout out to Rhode Island for getting in their applications on time, and hopefully, if you cross your fingers, everybody who did, hopefully you'll be the first in that state to be legal and make your shit turn into a legend. It's all about the legends over there. Shout out to MTI for making sound better, which that's important. Now I have control. It makes sense. I can actually listen to I can do it.
Yeah, you can
hear myself.
Control things now.
It's not like, do it. It's all coming together. Only takes 4 years, right?
Right.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for Chat Gang, for everybody for listening. And download all your stuff. Thanks to KTI on SoundCloud, or what else we got it on? SoundCloud,
iTunes,
and whatever else.
Yeah,
whatever derivative.
Yeah, just look us up in any of your podcatchers. You'll probably find the feed in there.
Yeah, and also on live stream. Also, if you have that connected to your TV or whatever, it's pretty cool. I go home and I'm like, oh, look, we got live stream on our thing. Bam. Works better on the TV than it does on my thing sometimes.
That's funny. Yeah.
All right. See you guys next week. I don't know who we have, but it'll be good.
All right. We'll see if this thing plays. It's having some problems, so
what?
we might not have it. We'll see.
Come on. I can play it, and we can just put our thing next to it if that's the word.
Oh, there you go.
There it goes. Oh, shit.
Here we go. See you guys next week.
No wrong zone. No wrong zone. We grow better. You know better. No wrong zone. No wrong zone. We grow better. You know better. We got exotic genetics. Microtech, yucky, relentless. Sunny cheap beside the blade. We got genetics for days. SeeHereNow.com. Log on and get laid. SeeHereNow.com. Log on and get laid. Oh, you still holy girl clone? Oh, you ain't been on her side. Oh, you got the most ups around. Oh, you still run so and so sky. Demo finna fuck the game up. Reverse your gene pool, your thumbs up. Can't still find what you're looking for. 4 out of 5 suggest a pheno hunt. You don't need a million feet to succeed. Forget what you heard, believe what you see. Adding and subtracting is the key. How else do we keep God's truth unique? Searching for kilos and keys. SeeHereNow.com, log on, that's the key. A warm and experience catalog is deep. You can find it all. What do you need? Diversity. Gene pools with CDD. Call us Dr. Blaze. I mean that you can cheat. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee. These certs are very delicious. Throw words full of thick fat bitches. Not genetic. Booty issues. We
you found a link. Just been listening. Michael Jackson, alchemist, and a damn magician. I got super blue head, you can say it's relentless. Sunny Chico with the Reaper, Jazzy with the OG. Now hashtag, no clone, no. We grow better, you know better. No clone, no clone, we grow better, you know better. We got exotic genetics, Michael Tech, Jazzy, relentless. Sunny Chico, Dr. Blurry. We got genetics for days. SeeHereNow.com. Log on and get laid. 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 SeeHereNow.com. Log on and get laid.